she was born into rock and roll royalty, the only daughter of the biggest hip-shaking star on the planet. But for Lisa Marie Presley, filling her father's blue suede shoes would lead to a lifetime of questionable choices with money and men.
I know his struggles, you know, a lot of people know what those were. I just had the same struggles.
It's one thing to grow up wealthy, but to protect a family fortune like Lisa Marie Presley inherited at the age of 25, well, that's another thing altogether.
And those choices would threaten to cost the king's daughter a king's ransom.
Being the heiress of $150 million, you'd always have to wonder what people really wanted from you. Were they with you because they liked you, or did they truly just want your money?
On this episode of Fortune Fights, husband and wife attorneys and media experts Danielle and Andy Mayoras explore how Lisa Marie Presley saw her father's fortune rise and fall, and her own along with it.
Show the people! Show the people!
Lisa Marie Presley was born February 1st, 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee. Her father, Elvis Presley, was the most famous musician in rock and roll history. Attorneys and authors Danielle and Andy Mayoras walk us through the messy legal battles and the fights that ensued over the family's massive fortune.
Over the course of his career, Elvis Presley earned more than $100 million.
That would be worth $400 million today.
He would have earned even more money, except his legendary manager, Colonel Tom Parker, kept a significant chunk for himself. Still, the king's success stretched from jukeboxes
80 of Elvis' songs reached the top 40, the most of any artist in history,
to movie marquees.
Elvis made over 30 films, including Jailhouse Rock, King Creole, and Viva Las Vegas. He was becoming a big-time matinee idol.
Elvis and his wife Priscilla raised their princess in the lap of luxury. They were American royalty, and Graceland was their kingdom. From the day she was born, Lisa Marie Presley had the run of the castle.
Growing up, Lisa Marie didn't have a silver spoon in her mouth. She had the golden ticket. Anything she wanted was hers.
She had a pony, free reign of the compound, a golf cart to drive her around, and people to cater to her every whim. In fact, her father used to rent out Liberty Land for her, which was a local theme park, so she and her friends could go play in it, along with him, of course, because he was a big kid at heart.
But big kids have big appetites, and those appetites cost money. As a little girl, Presley looked on as her superstar father spent money with reckless abandon.
She didn't know it at the time, but she was learning life lessons from her father. Unfortunately, they weren't always the right lessons.
Elvis was very generous to those around him. He even ended up buying some of his employees Cadillacs, and he had a lot of employees and staff, bodyguards, drivers, hairdressers, and they were all very well compensated.
Lisa Marie didn't always treat the staff as lovingly.
One of the cooks just recently told me, she said, you came in the kitchen one day and you said, she made a chocolate cake, and she said, and I wanted to eat it. She said, you can't right now. Your father said, no, you're gonna have dinner. And I said, you're fired, get out, this is my house.
While Lisa Marie was learning to be queen of the castle, Elvis simply wanted to be loved, and there was no shortage of women willing to give him what he wanted.
Just think of what it must have been like for Priscilla. Here's this beautiful woman and the mother of Elvis's only daughter, who has to know that her husband is the most desired man in the country.
Elvis's infidelities took their toll on the Presleys' marriage. In 1972, at the age of 4, Lisa Marie Presley found out that her world was about to change in a big way.
After a 6-year marriage, Elvis and Priscilla split up.
She got $100,000 along with a Mercedes, Cadillac, and a Harley Davidson.
For most people, the amount of money at that point in time would have been a huge amount. But you really have to keep in mind what a big star Elvis was. Priscilla did. So she hired new attorneys and renegotiated the agreement.
The new deal netted Priscilla Presley $725,000.
That's not a bad payout after a 6-year marriage, especially when you consider those dollars would be worth about $4 million in today's money. And of course, Elvis still had a pretty sizable net worth, so he could reasonably be expected to take that financial hit without too much hardship for him. It was pretty fair and equitable for both sides.
That's how divorce settlements are supposed to work, and it shows you the value of having good attorneys.
Elvis and Priscilla Presley agreed to share custody of daughter Lisa Marie. When she wasn't with her father at Graceland, she lived with her mother in a modest home in Los Angeles.
It was just a dichotomy, you know, going from that to a very regimented, scheduled, normal life with an apartment with my mom, two-bedroom apartment. You know, it was back and forth.
Her mother was much more strict with her, but her dad could still spoil her from afar.
I don't think that I looked at it as being spoiled. I think that I looked at it as my father loved me and didn't get to spend a lot of time with me, and when he did, he wanted to go out of his way to do whatever he needed to do to make me, you know, seemingly happy.
What Elvis was willing to do to make Lisa Marie happy was limitless.
There's a well-known story that she once complained on the phone to her dad that she had never seen snow.
So Elvis was like, I got this, honey. So he picked her up in his private jet, flew her all the way to Idaho just so she could play in the snow for 20 minutes before flying her back home.
Reportedly, that 20-minute romp cost more than 30 grand, which would be almost $137,000 today. Considering that Elvis was determined to make sure she lived like a princess, Priscilla struggled to raise Lisa Marie as a normal kid.
My mother was very level-headed and very set on me being level-headed, so she'd have to sort of undo whatever was done if I went to Graceland.
But try as she might, Priscilla was never able to make her daughter's childhood normal.
It was basically impossible for Lisa Marie's life to be ordinary considering who her dad was. While other kids are making friends on the playground, she's hanging out with Michael Jackson when she's only 6.
Even in divorce, Elvis had made sure that Lisa Marie's childhood was a dream. But that dream was about to become a nightmare.
On August 16, 1977, the news broke.
Elvis Presley died today. He was 42. Apparently it was a heart attack.
Elvis Presley was found dead in his private quarters at Graceland.
Elvis reportedly died of a massive heart attack, but the true cause of his death is still up for debate.
Over 80,000 mourners attended Elvis Presley's funeral. People who had never met him wept over his passing.
I just can't believe he's dead. It's terrible. But I just thank God that Elvis died here at Graceland instead of on the road just like any other rock and roll singer.
To them, the loss felt personal. To Lisa Marie, it actually was.
Lisa Marie claims that Elvis woke her up at 4 a.m. the night before to kiss her goodnight, and he was found dead the next morning. In fact, she says that was the last time she saw her father alive.
While Priscilla and Lisa Marie Presley were still coping with the loss, there were other pressing details concerning Elvis's passing that needed to be dealt with.
Elvis may have been gone, but his estate remained.
In the will, Elvis's father, Vernon, was appointed executor and trustee.
It's an executor's job to administer the estate after somebody dies. An executor has to be appointed by the court, and it's usually the person named in the will to serve that role.
The executor is the one who inventories the assets, pays the taxes and creditors, and then when all is said and done, divvies up the money to the beneficiaries. This is not an easy job. It's a lot of work.
Unfortunately, because of the way Elvis spent money so freely during his life, it meant that his estate wasn't worth as much as it might have been.
This is a man who took his jeweler on tour with him and once spent $85,000, which would be $400,000 today, on jewelry within 1 week.
Overpriced jumpsuits, massive improvements to Graceland, and buying expensive vehicles left and right. Elvis was tearing through cash to look like a king. But on top of that, he would blow through money acting like a kid. He and his friends famously bought $15,000 worth of fireworks, rented out the Rainbow Roller Dome in Memphis, and shot fireworks at each other. I mean, it just goes to show you, saving money was the last thing on Elvis's mind.
At the time of his death, Elvis's estate was valued at around $10 million in property and cash, which would be dispersed to a trio of beneficiaries named in his will.
When someone creates a will, they name beneficiaries under the will, which are the people that they want to receive their fortune.
But Presley was going to have to wait for her inheritance.
According to Elvis's will, Lisa Marie's inheritance would be held in trust for her until she reached the age of 25 on February 1st, 1993.
When you boil it down to its essence, a trust is a legal vehicle that allows you to name a third party to manage assets on behalf of your chosen beneficiaries. Now, this can be a great way to save money on estate taxes, preserve privacy, and, in this case especially, help to protect minor beneficiaries. Without an arrangement like this, the minor would receive the assets when he or she turns 18, and in some cases, that could be disastrous.
But there can be a downside to receiving a lump sum of money all at once.
As an estate planning attorney, it's definitely not unusual for me to counsel or see clients want to spread payments out to their children over time. In fact, I'm a big proponent of that. So it's really surprising, especially someone of Elvis's magnitude, that he would give the money to his daughter all at once at the age of 25.
Elvis's family members weren't the only ones looking after his fortune.
Colonel Tom Parker had been Elvis Presley's manager since 1956. Elvis credited him with much of his success, but others questioned Parker's oversized influence over the king. and his oversized fee structure.
So Colonel Parker was making money off Elvis's name for years, and he wasn't about to stop just because Elvis died.
The battle for the Presley fortune had just begun.
As you can imagine, people were coming out of the woodwork left and right. And when this happens, things can get ugly quickly.
Elvis Presley was the biggest star in the world. He and his wife Priscilla had raised daughter Lisa Marie in the lap of luxury at Graceland. But divorce rocked the Happy Kingdom in 1973, and the king's passing in 1977 brought it crashing to the ground, leaving his heirs to fight over his remaining fortune.
A lot of people profited off of Elvis when he was alive, and now that he was gone, they'd have to find a new source of income.
When a journalist asked Colonel Parker what he was going to do now that Elvis was gone, he replied, "Well, I'll just go right on managing him."
Parker went to Vernon Presley and suggested that he take over managing the estate in order to protect it from scam artists. Of course, who was the biggest scam artist of all? None other than Colonel Tom Parker himself.
A known gambling addict, Parker was used to bluffing his way through a hand and coming out with the entire pot.
My gambling had never anything to do with Elvis.
Parker proposed that Vernon let him manage the assets of the estate in exchange for 50% of the income that was brought in as payment for Parker.
Vernon Presley agreed to the deal, despite the high price at which it came.
50% of an estate is exorbitant. That's unheard of. Most of the times, even when there's a corporate trustee involved, you're looking at 5% of an estate, sometimes 10% of the estate.
Ironically, Parker would have made even more money if he hadn't made a deal a few years before that dramatically limited how much money could be brought in.
Parker had negotiated a deal with RCA, giving them ownership of all of Elvis's recordings prior to 1973, severely limiting the revenue stream for the estate after Elvis's death. With Parker entitled to half of whatever money coming in, and taxes taking a sizable portion of what came in beyond that, the estate was dwindling rapidly.
By 1979, he'd whittled it down to just $1 million.
The probate court system is far from perfect, but it can act as a safeguard against somebody who's intentionally trying to take advantage of an estate or mismanaging it through incompetence. And fortunately, that was the case here, where the probate system actually protected Elvis's estate.
Elvis's father, Vernon, had passed away in 1979. When Elvis's grandmother, Minnie Mae, died shortly thereafter, Lisa Marie Presley became the sole surviving beneficiary of the Elvis Presley estate. In 1980, the probate court judge appointed attorney Blanchard Twall to protect Presley's interests.
Probate court is the public venue that you go through when you pass away with a will. So in Elvis's case, even though there was a trust, it was part of the will. It wasn't a separate standalone trust. Whenever a will is filed and someone dies with assets in their individual name, it goes through the probate court process.
Toole reported to the probate court that Parker's fees were excessive.
According to Parker, he was a business partner with Elvis Presley in life and in death, so he was entitled to 50% of everything the estate brought in. But he wasn't a beneficiary under the will. If Elvis truly wanted to give Parker 50% of everything after he passed away, he should have put that in the will, and he didn't. And I'm sure there was a good reason for it, because he never had an agreement with Parker that Parker was going to get 50% of everything after he passed away.
Judge Joseph Evans ordered that the estate cut off all payments to Parker. And to the surprise of many, the judge went on to further order that the estate sue Parker in order to recoup money that never should have left its coffers in the first place.
It's extremely unusual for a judge to actually order someone to sue another individual. He must have thought that this was really, really out of the ordinary.
At the court's direction, estate lawyers filed suit against Parker to recover money that had been paid to him. The problem with the lawsuit is that Parker didn't have any money left to pay back, at least that's what he said, and the estate decided it was too expensive to keep trying to sue him to recover money that was likely spent. So the best the estate could hope for was to sever ties from Parker forever.
With Parker out of the picture and Vernon and Minnie Mae passed, 3 new executors and trustees were brought in to manage the estate.
Elvis Presley Enterprises was formed to conduct business on behalf of the trust and manage any existing assets that the trust had. And the sole beneficiary of all this was Lisa Marie Presley.
And since Lisa Marie was still a minor, her mom Priscilla looked after her interests.
With this new team in place, they quickly assessed what was going on with the estate. It was not pretty.
Though music and movie royalties and merchandising were generating income for the estate, those revenue streams were declining while expenses were increasing.
Graceland cost over $500,000 a year in maintenance, taxes, and 24-hour security at Elvis's gravesite.
Realizing that the estate was at risk of collapsing under its own financial weight, the team made a surprising move to resurrect the Elvis brand. One that Priscilla would only do if she could keep some things private.
Priscilla decided to open up Graceland to the public, but she didn't give them access to everything. Instead, she gave them access to the rooms on the first floor, like the music room and the jungle room. She kept the second floor where the bedrooms were located away from prying eyes.
On June 7, 1982, when Lisa Marie Presley was 14 years old, her childhood home, Graceland, opened for tours.
We had no idea if anyone was going to come or not.
Priscilla's fears proved to be unfounded. Fans showed up in droves.
It was an immediate hit with tens of thousands of people visiting in the first few months alone.
And while her childhood home was earning her money hand over fist, Presley was living the life of a troubled youth.
Having been raised in a military household, Priscilla was not as lenient as Elvis was, and Lisa Marie chafed under her mom's strict discipline.
Priscilla enrolled Lisa Marie in the prestigious Westlake School for Girls, but she never graduated.
I was very deep as a kid. I had a lot of questions about life. It's sort of purposeless, not quite understanding how things work.
Presley began to act out in dangerous ways.
Lisa was wild. She called it destructo mode. And anything her mom didn't want her to do, she decided to do. Smoking, drinking, boys, drugs, you name it, she was doing it.
At age 17, Presley was sent to rehab. There, she overcame her destructive habits.
But that's not all Lisa Marie did at the center. She started a hot and heavy relationship with a bass player named Danny Keough. He was basically a journeyman musician who played gigs around LA and worked as a house musician at a studio run by his best friend's father.
Danny and Lisa Marie hit it off and dated for 3 years before getting married on October 3rd, 1988 in Hollywood.
At the time of the wedding, Lisa Marie Presley was 20 years old, 5 years away from collecting the inheritance being held in her trust.
Trusts are primarily formed to pass assets on to the chosen beneficiaries, but in certain trusts like this one, it can really operate like a business with money moving in and moving back out, and depending who is in charge of that trust, it can be quite profitable.
Thanks to the current trustees, the trust had grown exponentially to $50 million.
But Presley wasn't living the high life just yet.
Lisa Marie and Danny Keough actually formed a pretty traditional family. They had 2 kids, Danielle, Riley, and Benjamin, and lived a pretty regular life for a while. But Lisa Marie was no regular person. She was the daughter of rock and roll royalty, and she was about to become extremely wealthy.
In 1993, Presley turned 25 and received her inheritance. As a result of excellent financial management, it had grown substantially from the $10 million Elvis had left when he died in 1977.
By then, it was worth a whopping $100 million.
To Presley's credit, she didn't simply sit back and collect checks. She made it a point to find out what was really going on with this estate.
Lisa Marie Presley attended board meetings of Elvis Presley Enterprises, familiarizing herself with the inner workings of the family business.
This was a lot of money for a 25-year-old to handle, so Lisa Marie made an extremely mature, responsible decision, and she opted to leave the money in the trust, even though she could have taken it all at that point in time.
She also decided to hire a money manager, Barry Siegel, and his company, Provident Financial Management, to handle her finances.
Siegel would go on to implement an aggressive business strategy for the estate. The biggest deal he would strike was a lucrative 2005 agreement with CKX Incorporated that would yield Presley $50 million in cash and $26 million in stocks in exchange for an 85% interest in Elvis Presley Enterprises. With Siegel at the helm of her finances, Lisa Marie was free to spend her time chasing other pursuits.
Presley was becoming more and more interested in her father's first love, music. It was a bond she shared with Keough.
But Presley had a bond with another man, someone she had known since she was a kid. And apparently, that bond was stronger than the one she shared with Keough.
On May 24, 1994, after 6 years of marriage, Lisa Marie Presley and Danny Keough filed for divorce in the Dominican Republic.
The reason for the quickie divorce? Lisa Marie wanted to get married again, and right away.
Lisa Marie Presley's new suitor was a musician too, one who was arguably as famous as her father.
On May 26, just 2 days after her divorce from Keough was finalized, Lisa Marie got remarried to the king of pop, Michael Jackson.
The king of rock and roll's daughter shocked the world by marrying the king of pop.
It was the biggest headline in the music industry.
But who else could truly understand Lisa Marie Presley more than someone like Michael Jackson? They had been friends for decades, but now they were more than that.
If this relationship didn't work out, there would be a lot at stake.
In the spring of 1994, music fans all over the world were shocked by the news that Lisa Marie Presley and Michael Jackson had tied the knot. What they didn't realize is that the couple had known each other since a 6-year-old Presley met 16-year-old Michael at a show in Las Vegas.
This childhood meeting turned into a lifelong friendship, probably because they both had such unusual upbringings. They both felt that each other got them in ways that nobody else could really understand. This was something that Danny Keough simply couldn't compete with.
Michael and Lisa Marie would have long conversations on the phone. And one night, Michael asked Lisa Marie, "If I asked you to marry me, would you do it?"
Presley said yes.
Of course, she was a married woman at the time. So why was she so willing to give up on her marriage? It may just be as simple as she and Danny Keough were falling out of love while she was falling into love with the one person who could understand and relate to her.
Whatever the reason, Lisa Marie Presley was ready to move on.
So she flew back to the Dominican Republic for a quickie divorce.
But even as Presley was finding love with a new man, the bond with the father of her children was strong, and Presley and Keough would remain close for years to come.
Lisa Marie would later say that she's completely insane when it comes to picking men, but she always did say that Danny Keough was one of the good ones.
Presley and Keough didn't appear to have a prenuptial agreement, and Lisa Marie did have to pay him spousal support. When all was said and done, it seemed to be an amicable divorce, and it cleared the way for Lisa Marie to move on quickly.
2 days after the divorce, Lisa Marie Presley and Michael Jackson were married.
It was 1994, and I was the biggest Michael Jackson fan. He had come back with Dangerous. He was on top of the world, and here he comes out with Elvis's daughter, and you're just like, what is this?
They publicly stated that even though the information was confidential, they both took measures to protect their respective fortunes.
I have to ask you this because I can only imagine the number of lawyers involved in a prenuptial agreement between these two fortunes. Is there one? A careful one?
Well, we've worked out things and we've signed certain things, but of course, that's very confidential.
We made agreements prior, yes.
There was a lot of money at stake for both of them. It really speaks volumes that they were smart enough to address this up front.
This may have been Jackson's doing. After all, this may have been the first relationship Lisa Marie was in when she was with someone who had just as much to protect and lose as she did.
Though news of the nuptials among musical royalty had already begun to spread, there were rumors that the relationship was a sham. So Lisa Marie Presley and Michael Jackson decided to make a showing of their love on national television.
And the newlyweds did not disappoint.
And just think, nobody thought this would last.
This was the blending of two important eras in popular music, bridging the days from the early rock and roll of Elvis to the height of pop music with Michael Jackson. They were both kings, and Lisa Marie Presley, she was the princess in the middle.
The newlyweds looked happy for the cameras, but as their marriage went on, storm clouds began to brew.
Presley claimed that Jackson's attention was being taken by sycophants, something she had witnessed with her own father, and she was becoming increasingly alarmed by the hold that drugs seemed to have on him.
On January 8, 1996, they filed for divorce, citing the infamous irreconcilable differences. This is the common legal term used in most states when people don't really want to disclose why they're getting divorced, but simply want to say, the marriage is over, let us move on.
Before exchanging vows, they had the foresight to protect themselves and their fortunes.
What I can say is there was a divorce filed today, and I'm representing Lisa Marie Presley. She's filing divorce to divorce Michael Jackson. It is a clean, simple divorce, no disputes. I've talked to opposing counsel, and everybody agrees it's going to be friendly, no controversy.
Lisa Marie Presley and Michael Jackson's prenuptial agreement would ensure that neither would lose their fortune as a result of their separation.
Because they didn't have to fight over money through the divorce, it meant that there were no ugly personal details that could come out in court.
They were free to go their separate ways. Jackson had his fortune, and Presley had hers.
Lisa Marie Presley was twice divorced, extremely wealthy, and hungry to carry on her father's legacy in ways other than just the Presley name.
She decided to go into the family business.
Most musicians develop their skills for years performing in small venues before they ever sign a record deal, but not Lisa Marie.
In 1998, Presley signed a deal with Java Records without ever having performed on stage before. But Presley didn't consider the Java deal to be just a no-risk vanity project. She had something to prove.
She obviously had a lot of contacts in the music world, but she decided to call upon her music mentor to help her navigate this next chapter of her life.
She spent the next 5 years working on the album, writing songs and collaborating with her ex, Danny Keough. She knew expectations would be sky high, so she really wanted to get it right.
Meanwhile, a chance meeting at a party led to a new love in Presley's life.
In 2000, she attended Johnny Ramone's birthday party where she met actor Nick Cage. For the next 2 years, the two of them were on again, off again.
Until August 2002, when Presley and Cage took the plunge, marrying in a secret ceremony in Hawaii.
In August, they were on. But by November, only 4 months later, they were off again.
Cage served Presley with divorce papers in late 2002. Presley released a statement saying that they shouldn't have been married in the first place. Cage, on the other hand, simply said, "I did not comment on the marriage. I will not comment on the divorce."
He clearly wanted to keep things private. In fact, it never even came out publicly whether they had a prenup or not. You'd think that Lisa Marie would have wanted one from her past experience and how well it worked for her, but of course, given the fact their marriage was only about 3 months long, they may have gotten through the divorce without even needing a prenup.
One thing that we do know is throughout her short-lived marriage with Nicolas Cage, she was working on her debut album.
To Whom It May Concern was released on April 8, 2003.
When I first heard Lisa Marie Presley's debut album, I was quite impressed. You could tell that she was channeling her father, but in a new pop rock kind of way, and I thought it was actually excellent.
To Whom It May Concern went on to reach number 5 on the Billboard charts and was certified gold in 2003.
Now, for most people, this would have been huge, but Lisa Marie Presley wasn't just most people. I mean, she was the daughter of one of the most famous rock and roll icons of all time. The pressure had to be enormous.
Presley went back to the recording booth quickly, following up her debut album with a second, 2005's Now What.
Now What was only on the charts for about 7 weeks, but it did chart to number 9, which is no small feat.
With her music career blossoming and the Elvis Presley estate running like a finely tuned machine with her financial manager Barry Siegel at the helm, Lisa Marie Presley once again found herself in love.
Like most guys in her life, Michael Lockwood was a musician.
Lockwood was essentially a hired hand. He started working for Presley as a musical director in 2004, making $3,500 a week.
But while they were on the road, a relationship blossomed. But Lockwood was a little hesitant to commit at first.
He had been through some bad relationships before meeting Lisa Marie. In fact, he reportedly told her he didn't believe in love.
And Lisa Marie told him, quote, "That was bull."
On January 22, 2006, less than 3 years after marrying Nicolas Cage and 2 years since divorcing him, Lisa Marie Presley married Michael Lockwood in Kyoto, Japan. It was truly a family affair, with Priscilla giving Lisa Marie away, Lisa Marie's children, Riley and Benjamin, in the wedding party, and ex-husband Danny Keough serving as the best man.
It was a dream wedding involving everyone and everything that was important to Presley.
What it didn't involve, unfortunately, was a prenuptial agreement.
Unconcerned with legal protections, the newly married couple wasted no time before mixing business and pleasure.
Presley and Lockwood had twin girls, and they lived quite a life for the next decade. They had a $5 million home in California, a $7 million estate in England, and a 4-bedroom vacation home in Hawaii.
But the sweet music of marital bliss wasn't destined to last. The union would be threatened by actions from both Presley and Lockwood. Presley's old destructo ways returned, and in 2006, at the age of 48, she began to struggle again with drug addiction.
She went to rehab at least 5 times, including several places in Mexico and once at the Hills Treatment Center in LA, a luxury rehab in the Hollywood Hills.
Multiple trips to rehab centers that cater to celebrities can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. The financial toll would be made worse when Presley discovered that Lockwood had been racking up massive debts on her credit cards. After confronting him about it, it became clear the marriage was on the rocks.
In June of 2016, Presley filed for divorce from Lockwood, citing irreconcilable differences.
Attempts to keep the proceedings cordial would not last long.
Many times, divorcing couples can keep their dirty laundry private. This was not one of those times. They were about to go on the attack.
There are usually only 2 things that lead to that change: fighting over children and, of course, money.
The gloves were about to come off. In 2016, after 10 years of marriage, Lisa Marie Presley filed for divorce from husband Michael Lockwood. Legal analysts and attorneys Danielle and Andy Mayoras explore the impending divorce of rock royalty's richest heiress, and her ex's attempt to get a piece of her millions.
Presley claimed that Lockwood took advantage of her financially, but that was the least of the charges she alleged.
She also accused Lockwood of having inappropriate photos of children on his computer, a charge he immediately refuted.
Presley asked for full custody of the children, giving him only monitored visitation.
Considering her personal wealth, she decided not to ask for spousal or child support. Given the income disparity, it would be unusual for her to have gotten spousal support anyways, but everybody is generally entitled to child support if they're the parent with custody.
The salacious claims against Lockwood were investigated, but no evidence supporting them was found, so no charges were filed. But the heated divorce proceedings were just getting started, and money quickly became a major issue.
In February of 2017, Presley filed court papers accusing Lockwood of spending more than $1 million on credit cards that she didn't authorize.
Lockwood was living the lifestyle of the rich and famous. Of course, he was doing this on Lisa Marie's dime.
A prenup would have solved a lot of things even before they went south, but Presley may have been lulled into a false sense of security because her prior two divorces were relatively smooth, so she didn't have a prenup this time around.
Lockwood asked the court for Presley to pay $460,000 in attorney fees and costs. Presley, in an effort to limit that exposure to no more than $40,000, filed papers that laid out her finances for the world to see, and they weren't pretty.
In February of 2018, court records show that Presley had racked up debt to the tune of $16.7 million. This included back taxes, a mortgage default, and credit card bills.
Lisa Marie Presley was worth $150 million when she got married. So what happened to all that money?
When Presley and Lockwood were married, they spent money freely on things like international vacations, $20,000 shopping sprees, and multiple homes. Lockwood filed papers in court publicly laying all of this out. He was probably trying to prove that Presley had the means, but there's a flip side to this approach, because it also shows that those means may have been exhausted.
Her properties in Hawaii, Southern California, and England were all underwater. She owed more than $10 million in back taxes, and that was more money than was on hand in the trust.
To many, it was hard to believe that Presley's trust, as sizable as it once was now depleted.
Just as Lisa Marie had seen her dad with his carefree spending, not stopping to think about the implications, she was doing the exact same thing as an adult.
The Los Angeles Superior Court ruled that Presley did not have to pay spousal support while the assets were being negotiated. However, she would be required to pay $100,000 in Lockwood's attorney fees.
When one spouse in a divorce proceeding has a sizable financial advantage to the other, it's not unusual for that spouse to be ordered to pay the legal fees to the other party. This way, both of them can have equal legal representation in court, which they're both entitled to.
And that's why the judge ruled that she had to pay Lockwood's attorney fees.
Presley and Lockwood had entered into their marriage without a prenuptial agreement, and when they divorced, that dubious oversight seemed to pose a serious problem for Presley's case, until new information was revealed.
There was a hitch in the divorce proceeding, at least from Lockwood's perspective, because they had signed a postnuptial agreement.
A postnuptial agreement is similar to a prenuptial agreement, only instead of being signed before the couple gets married, it's signed after they get married.
But legally, they amount to the same thing.
The agreement stated that there would be no community property created during the marriage, and that neither person would be entitled to spousal support.
With a prenuptial agreement, of course you have that dangling carrot, which is the marriage itself, and with a postnup, you don't have that.
Lockwood asked the judge to tear up the postnuptial agreement. Why? Because he said he hadn't read it, it simply didn't interest him enough, and his attorney never explained the details to him. The problem with this kind of excuse is that it's never going to work, because otherwise no contract would ever be valid. If one side could simply say, I didn't read it, it didn't interest me, it shouldn't be valid, then no contract would be enforceable.
Presley claimed that Lockwood was fully aware and had the complete and full opportunity to negotiate the agreement. She also said there was no unfair advantage and no undue influence.
At the time the postnuptial agreement was signed, Lisa Marie Presley owned 15% of Elvis Presley Enterprises.
This was the result of a 2005 deal that Barry Siegel had made with CKX, selling off 85% of Elvis Presley Enterprises in exchange for millions of dollars in cash and stocks.
Despite her debts, Lisa Marie Presley still stood to make money from the Elvis Presley estate, and she was determined to protect that money from her soon-to-be ex-husband. Now it was in the hands of the court.
An LA Superior Court judge ruled that the postnuptial agreement signed on November 28, 2007 was valid and fully enforceable.
Not being interested enough to read a legal document doesn't render it unenforceable. If you bother to sign something without reading it, shame on you.
Never rely on that as an excuse to try and get yourself out of that document. Courts aren't going to go for it.
Thanks to a postnuptial agreement, Presley had protected her fortune. But how much was left to be had was another question altogether.
She had a whopping $150 million at the peak of her wealth, but now it was substantially less.
The battle for the king's fortune had been a constant in Lisa Marie Presley's life since she was a child. And in adulthood, she wasn't about to settle for it simply being gone.
She looked to the person that she thought was keeping an eye on things, her money manager.
In 2018, after having weathered multiple marriages and divorces, and having seen the Elvis Presley estate ebb and flow in value, Lisa Marie Presley found herself in dire circumstances. The estate, once valued at over $150 million, was now worth only about a third of that total. Attorneys Danielle and Andy Mayoras break down how Presley's fortune was decimated and what legal action she took to try to get it back.
In February of 2018, Presley sued her longtime financial manager, Barry Siegel.
She had known Siegel for a long time. In fact, he had been her money manager for 25 years, ever since she first inherited money from her father's estate.
The lawsuit accused Siegel of reckless and negligent mismanagement and self-serving ambition.
Now, there's no legal significance to the term self-serving ambition. In fact, that's a new one to me. What she's really getting at is that she believes he breached his fiduciary duties to her and put his own interest ahead of Lisa Marie's.
Presley claimed that Siegel's mismanagement dated back to a deal he orchestrated in 2005.
He sold 85% of Elvis Presley Enterprises to Robert F.X. Silverman and his company CKX for $114 million. And then Lisa Marie would keep the remaining 15% interest in Elvis Presley Enterprises.
Presley received $50 million in cash and another $26 million in stock in CKX. CKX also paid another $25 million to pay off debt for Elvis Presley Enterprises.
So what did CKX get for $114 million? It got a 90-year lease on Graceland. It got the rights to Elvis Presley's name, image, likeness, and trademark, which is used in over 100 merchandising and licensing deals. It got publishing rights to 650 songs, and it got royalty rights to 24 of Elvis's movies.
RCA still owned the rights to all of Elvis's biggest hits, but the Presley name was a cash cow.
Elvis Presley Enterprises was making about $40 million a year from Graceland tours, on-site retailing and licensing, and from hotel revenue from the Heartbreak Hotel.
It had looked like a mutually beneficial deal until CKX went belly up.
In 2016, CKX filed for bankruptcy. And of course, when there's a bankruptcy, that means the stock in the company is worthless. Lisa Marie Presley owned around $20 million worth of stock. So now it was just a paper fortune. What was it worth? Absolutely nothing.
She had already given up 85% of what she could have been making off of the Elvis Presley name in the original deal. And now that CKX was having financial trouble, $25 million worth of stock that she had received was gone.
This was a major blow to Presley's fortune.
Presley's stock was worthless, but she had been paid $50 million as part of the CKX deal. $50 million that were being handled by Barry Siegel, or, according to Presley, mishandled.
Presley says she was completely kept in the dark about her losses, and that Siegel had actually been selling her personal assets to supplement trust income without even telling her.
By 2016, Presley claimed that Siegel had liquidated all of the trust assets, and all that was remaining was shocking. It was only $14,000 in cash and $500,000 in credit card debt.
Lisa Marie Presley had grown up in one of the most famous homes in America. Now she claimed Siegel had put her in the poorhouse. The Elvis Presley fortune was all but gone.
It was a wake-up call for Lisa Marie Presley. Where did the $114 million go? Where was her money?
Siegel countersued and claimed that Presley squandered her father's fortune, not once, but twice.
According to Siegel, she spent the $150 million she initially received, and then she also spent all the money she received from the sale to CKX for the 85% interest in Elvis Presley Enterprises.
Siegel fired back at her, saying, quote, she was rescued from insolvency by a deal she now calls fraudulent and self-serving, and that she actually became wealthy again after the CKX deal, but then, quote, she dissipated her second fortune over the next 10 years.
There was a cascade of information that came out because of her divorce.
All of the he said, she said from the divorce gave Siegel and his legal team a lot of ammunition.
The lawsuit also says, as she spiraled downward personally, she refused to listen to the warnings of her most trusted advisors and her family. Unfortunately, she only has herself to blame for her financial and personal misfortunes. Her continuous excessive spending and reliance on credit far exceeded what the trust could pay her from income alone.
Siegel and his company are suing Presley for $800,000 in damages.
That figure represents the amount that Siegel says Presley owes him for work that he did before she fired him in March of 2016.
And that figure comes from Siegel's $700,000 a year fee for managing the trust, which Presley said was exorbitant when he should have been protecting her interest instead of focusing on his own profits.
Siegel's lawyer, Leon Gladstone, defended their actions in a statement to People magazine.
Gladstone squarely placed the blame on Lisa Marie Presley, saying that the 2005 deal helped her with millions of dollars of debt that she had, and helped her net millions more, which he said she just squandered.
Siegel and his lawyer said that Presley had an uncontrollable spending habit, which was a claim they were able to support by pointing to the financial statements that came out during the Presley-Lockwood divorce.
The legal battle with Barry Siegel continued.
Was Siegel negligent in managing Presley's money, or was Presley really this carefree spender that he makes her out to be? Only time will tell.
Everybody has to take their own personal responsibility at some point. You can't blindly trust your advisors, and if somebody's doing you wrong for that long, you should find out about it.
Meanwhile, Presley's divorce from Michael Lockwood lingered in court.
Lockwood filed documents in August of 2018 asking the court to certify its ruling that the postnuptial agreement with Presley was valid.
This move showed how important it was to Lockwood and his legal team to challenge the validity of the postnuptial agreement, because they asked for and received permission to take that issue up to the Court of Appeals even before their divorce case was done. What this means is that the divorce trial is going to be delayed until the Court of Appeals passes on that issue, and then they'll go back for trial.
But throughout her ongoing legal battles, Lisa Marie Presley continues her quest to connect to her famous father through music.
In August of 2018, Lisa Marie released a duet with Elvis called When No One Stands Alone.
Lisa Marie Presley was born into wealth and fame, but reckless spending, financial mismanagement, multiple marriages and divorces, and legal battles over money have all taken their toll.
It's easy to assume that someone born into money is going to have it easy, but that's not always true.
I'm sure nobody could have predicted the amount of ups and downs that Lisa Marie would have gone through when she was back roaming the halls of Graceland as a child.
Lisa Marie's been in the public eye since she was born. Everybody knows about her, everyone knows what she looks like, but still, she is mysterious. She's truly an enigma.
Robin Williams was a prominent part of pop culture, a brilliant stand-up, and one of the most successful actors of his generation.
One of our more serious actors. Yeah. Olivier, yo. Yo.
During his decades in the business, Williams enjoyed massive success, but expensive divorces took a toll.
Williams wanted his exes to be well cared for, but it came with a big price tag.
And even the best estate planning couldn't prevent a fight over his wealth after he died.
The children were absolutely devastated. Their stepmother had filed court documents less than 5 months after their father passed away, and just a few days before Christmas.
On this episode of Fortune Fights, husband and wife media experts and attorneys Danielle and Andy Mayoras detail how Robin Williams amassed a $100 million estate, the unexpected battle after his passing, and the legacy that he left behind.
Carpe diem.
Monday, August 11th, 2014, began as another beautiful summer day in Northern California. At the Marin County 911 Center, it was a day like most others until 11:55 a.m. when an emergency call came in.
According to police, the caller said an adult male had been found in his home, unconscious and not breathing.
Emergency responders raced to the home, located in the tiny upscale town of Tiburon, near San Francisco.
Neighbors noticed the emergency vehicles descending upon their celebrity neighbor's home, Robin Williams.
Williams shared the home with his wife of 3 years, Susan Schneider.
Neighbors said Williams had always been friendly, but they hadn't seen much of him lately.
Not long after emergency responders arrived, TV trucks began showing up.
I have a prepared statement.
3 hours later, police announced devastating news.
The male subject, who was pronounced deceased, has been identified as Robin McLaurin Williams.
He was 63.
Robin Williams was such a major star. It was a complete shock. We had known his work for decades, everything from his stand-up comedy routines to his starring roles on television, his numerous films, and even Broadway.
Tigers are atheists. When an atheist suddenly finds himself walking around after death, he's got some serious reevaluating to do.
Even more shocking was the suspected cause of death.
The coroner's office said that the death appeared to be caused by suicide due to asphyxia, but they needed a full autopsy before issuing a final conclusion.
An hour after the medical examiner announced the suicide, Robin Williams' publicist released a statement saying he had recently been battling depression. As the shocking news of his death traveled, the remembrances began pouring in.
It's no exaggeration to say that Robin Williams was well loved by his fans all over the world. In fact, right after his death, tributes started coming in from co-stars, fans, and everyone on all the corners.
Williams' wife Susan also issued a statement. She said not only did she lose her husband and her best friend, but the world lost one of its most beloved artists and beautiful human beings.
Within hours of his death in San Francisco, fans began leaving messages and loving remembrances at the house from his beloved film, Mrs. Doubtfire. Williams' star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame was also transformed into a memorial by grief-stricken fans, and Broadway dimmed its lights in honor of one of their own.
With the outpouring of love and grief, there were also questions. How could this have happened?
Still, there were more questions surrounding the division of his estate between the surviving members of his family.
Before Williams passed away, he had already begun downsizing. His 2 divorces had cost him upwards of $20 million, and he had come up publicly and said how expensive divorce was.
Kiss your assets goodbye.
As a beloved comedy giant and brilliant actor of his generation, Robin Williams' fame and fortune attracted lovers, fans, and a slew of legal battles. Attorneys Danielle and Andy Mayoras examined the fortune fights that followed him throughout his life and afterward. Over the course of his career, Williams was well loved by a legion of fans, but his early years growing up in suburban Chicago were lonely ones.
Williams was an only child born to Robert and Laura Williams in 1951. His dad was an automotive executive who traveled away for work quite a bit, and his mother was a former model who did a lot of charity work and was gone from the house a lot.
The family lived in a large home in the exclusive suburb of Lake Forest. As an only child, Robin Williams spent a lot of time alone, but fed his imagination by playing with his vast array of small toy soldiers. As he grew older, he made friends in his neighborhood, but at school, friendships were harder to come by.
In middle school, Williams used to spend a lot of time avoiding bullies. He said that he learned to tell jokes so that he could avoid being beaten up.
In 1963, when Williams was 12, the family relocated to Detroit. And with no friends to play with, Williams grew his pretend army of toy soldiers, creating complex battle scenes.
It's just the idea of the miniatures coming to life. As a kid, I always would hope my soldiers are going to come to life.
Listening to the radio also sparked a love for impersonations.
Because I grew up in Detroit, I used to hear these guys on the radio, these hardcore Baptist preachers. Oh, baby, please! And I think that was, for me, the part that made it fun to do.
In some of the rare time spent with his father, Williams was occasionally allowed to stay up and watch late-night TV. One night, they saw legendary comic Jonathan Winters, who was known for his improvisations.
My dad was, a sweet man, but not the easiest laugh. And Jonathan came on the old Tonight Show with Jack Parker. Are you allowed to say Tonight Show? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Cool. Jonathan came out wearing a pith helmet, and Jack said, "What are you, John?" He said, "I'm a great white hunter." And Jack said, "What do you hunt?" He said, "I hunt mainly squirrels." And then he said, "How do you do that?" "I aim for the little nuts." And I was my father just went, "Oh!" And I went, "Who is this man?"
Yeah. Williams was inspired. He was eager for attention at home, and he would often perform for his parents. His mother in particular loved his characterizations and improvisations, and those, of course, would later become his trademark.
I feel like the Pope.
In the summer of 1968, 17-year-old Williams and his family moved again, this time to the San Francisco Bay Area and the tiny, prosperous community of Tiburon.
Moving to California in the 60s was a complete culture shock for Robin, who had spent most of his life in the Midwest. San Francisco took a lot of getting used to.
Redwood High School, where Robin Williams enrolled as a senior, was a sharp contrast to the strict college prep high school he attended in Detroit. But Williams blossomed in California, where school uniforms were replaced by blue jeans and tie-dye shirts. After high school, he moved south to attend Claremont Men's College in a small town 40 miles outside Los Angeles.
Williams went to Claremont to study political science, but there he took a theater class and it changed everything. He started excelling in theater and flunking all of his other classes.
After 1 year, his father said, "I'm not paying for this anymore," and he made him come home.
For the next 3 years, Williams lived at home while studying acting at the local college of Marin.
Robin told his father that he wanted to pursue a career in acting, and his father said, well, it's great, follow your dreams, but you also need a backup plan, like welding.
Welding would have to wait. Williams was fiercely committed to performing. In 1973, at 22, he earned a 4-year scholarship to study drama at the prestigious Juilliard School in New York. The classical training at Juilliard wasn't a good fit for Williams' freewheeling acting style.
Williams left school and moved in with his parents in Tiburon while he worked at comedy clubs.
He became a regular at a comedy club called Holy City Zoo, where he also was a bartender. One night in 1976, Williams was behind the bar when he met Valerie Velarde.
Valerie was an aspiring dancer who was finishing up her dance masters at a local college while waitressing on the side. When her and Williams met, they hit it off immediately.
At 26, Velarde was a year older than Williams and was charmed by his quick wit and humor, while he was drawn to her Italian beauty. The two fell in love, and within a month were living together.
Just as he'd entertained his mother, Valerie became Williams' personal audience. She helped him hone material, and she realized pretty quickly that his talent was way too big for San Francisco.
6 months into their relationship, Williams and Velarde moved to Los Angeles. He worked the comedy circuit, landing a regular gig at the Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard, where he earned $200 a week.
Robin's regular performances at the Comedy Store became a big draw for the fan. Also, TV execs began to take notice because they're always looking for new talent.
Wednesday.
Here's laughing.
With Robin Williams, Frank Sinatra, James Garner, Flip Wilson, and Cindy Williams.
Sell my clothes, I'm going to heaven.
In 1977, when he was 26, Williams landed a recurring spot on the NBC revival of the show Laugh In.
Williams was hired for $1,500 a week, which translates into $6,200 a week now. He was thrilled and felt like he hit the big time.
But the show was canceled after 14 weeks. Williams quickly landed another gig on The Richard Pryor Show, but it too was canceled after only 4 episodes.
It was a tough and disappointing time for Williams. He was really looking forward to letting loose on TV, but within the same year, he was part of 2 TV shows that both bombed.
Despite 2 failed series, Williams was becoming hot on the comedy circuit and on the verge of getting his big break. But a meteoric rise in success would come with a hefty price tag.
The death of John Belushi was not only a shock, but would also leave Robin Williams in serious legal jeopardy.
By 1978, Robin Williams had been working the LA comedy scene for a year and a half. He was a regular at the Comedy Store, drawing big crowds. And although 2 attempts at TV series work had failed to take off, he was getting a lot of attention.
Honey, someone's coming for an autograph.
Media experts and attorneys Danielle and Andy Mayoras explained how he built his fame and fortune before it all ended in tragedy and bitter family fighting. In 1978, Williams got the call that would change his life.
Williams recently signed on with the talent management firm Rollins Jaffe, and they had a big audition waiting for him, a guest spot on the hit TV show Happy Days.
The series producer and director, Gary Marshall, had heard about a young comic, Robin Williams, who was wowing fans at the Comedy Store. He called him in to audition along with dozens of other actors.
With his lightning-fast improvisation skills, Williams simply blew them away. He was immediately cast as Mork from the planet Ork.
It would be an unexpected melding of 2 very different worlds.
It was definitely an interesting concept to combine 2 totally different things. Here you have a show from the 50s, and now you're combining it with an alien from another planet.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Greetings, Fonzie. Remember me, Mork from Ork? You once called me the nutso from outer space.
I must be dreaming of something like that, you know?
The episode titled My Favorite Orkin aired on February 28, 1978, and was seen by more than 23 million viewers, making it the 2nd highest rated show of the week, just behind another popular series, Laverne and Shirley. Williams thought his guest spot on the show was a one-shot deal, but he was wrong.
Robin's appearance as Mork just blew the fans away. They started writing and calling the network saying, "We want more Mork."
The network decided to launch a spin-off starring 26-year-old Robin Williams as Mork.
Williams got another call from his managers with good news. The top network on TV was offering him the lead in a series with a guaranteed 22 episodes for $15 a week.
He assumed it was for $1,500 a week, but his manager said, no, it's for $15,000 a week. Robin Williams had officially hit the big time.
Before the new series went into production, he and Valerie decided to get married after 10 years together. On June 4th, 1978, during an outdoor ceremony in Tiburon, he and Valerie tied the knot.
It was a really blissful time for the couple. They ended up honeymooning in Hawaii before Williams had to shoot his new series.
The series Mork and Mindy, starring Williams as Mork and Pam Dauber as Mindy, was an instant hit. Williams signed a contract reportedly valued at $3 million for 5 years.
In 1979, his management team renegotiated the Mork and Mindy deal. They were able to double his salary to $30,000 a week.
During the series' 4-year run, Williams got to work with his idol, Jonathan Winters, when he made a guest appearance on the show, playing Mork's son.
Maybe you and I could band together against him. Won't be the best father and son team since Raymond and Aaron Burr.
In between seasons, he kept doing live stand-up performances. He also took another leap during his hiatus from the show, this time onto the silver screen.
Williams' management team had long thought that he was made for the movies, and they ended up having a film in mind. It was a $20 million Disney musical based on the comic book character Popeye.
Williams took the part after being encouraged by his good friend and former Juilliard buddy, Christopher Reeve, who found success playing another comic book character, Superman.
Williams' deal for Popeye took him to an entirely new level. He was paid $500,000 plus a small percentage of profits. In 1980, this was a big deal.
Popeye, starring 29-year-old Williams in the title role, earned him $500,000 and opened in December 1980 to mixed reviews. It earned $50 million at the box office, making it the 12th highest-grossing film of the year, but still wasn't the blockbuster Williams had hoped for.
He went back to shooting Mork and Mindy, but unfortunately, things weren't going so well. The ratings started to slip in the 3rd season, and so did Williams.
What were your days in television like then compared to what we're experiencing now?
I don't remember a lot because I was on everything but skates back then.
Is that true?
Very much so. Thank God that TMZ didn't exist back then because I would have been 24 hours. Hi, what are you doing? Hey, hi, nice to meet you.
His meteoric rise in Hollywood, with all its money and fame, had also come with supersized temptations, including drugs, alcohol, and despite being married, women.
One time I came in, I was so hungover, the director gave me notes. He would go like, Robin, wake up, we want you on that side of the stage. Wow. It was rough.
Having worked the comedy club circuit, Williams was no stranger to drugs and booze, but as his celebrity grew, so did his substance abuse.
It's very common to see someone's alcohol or drug abuse surface and increase. When one's career is on the rise, it often adds additional stress and pressure.
In the early 80s, Williams was heavily into drinking and taking drugs, sometimes with another comedian who shot to stardom, John Belushi. But on March 5th, 1982, it all came to a tragic end.
John Belushi had been staying at the Chateau Marmont right off the Sunset Strip. Now, after Robin Williams got done with one of his sets at the Comedy Store, he decided to go over and visit Belushi.
Also there that night was actor Robert De Niro, as well as a woman named Kathy Smith, a former backup singer and groupie who had easy access to drugs. Williams would later say he didn't stay long because Smith made him uncomfortable.
The next day on this set of Mork and Mindy, Williams' co-star Pam Dauber had some tragic news to share with him. John Belushi had died.
Hearing that news shook Williams to his core. He'd just been with Belushi a few hours earlier.
Making matters worse, Kathy Smith reportedly admitted to injecting Belushi with a deadly combination of heroin and cocaine, known as a speedball. She also claimed that Williams and actor Robert De Niro had done cocaine with Belushi the night he died.
Kathy Smith faced a potential second-degree murder charge. If so, Williams and De Niro could also be charged under California's felony murder statute.
Williams ended up testifying before a Los Angeles grand jury, and he admitted he had done cocaine that night. But neither Williams nor De Niro were ever charged with any crimes or even police suspects.
Kathy Smith, however, was charged with second-degree murder.
She ended up pleading to involuntary manslaughter as part of a plea deal with prosecutors. She was sentenced to 3 years in prison.
Having had the potential to derail his career and future success, the death of John Belushi was a huge wake-up call for Williams.
He had been living in the fast lane for quite some time. He realized how dangerous and risky it was.
Hard partying and womanizing had taken a toll on his 4-year marriage as well. After Belushi's death, he recommitted to his wife Valerie and cleaned up his act.
He cut back on his substance use and his alcohol consumption dramatically, almost to the point of nothing.
That summer, Velarde became pregnant, and the next spring, she and Williams welcomed a son, Zachary. After the birth of his son, Williams cut out everything.
He had a reason to show up differently to life. He was a father.
He didn't do it like many people with rehab or AA. Instead, he did it completely on his own, cold turkey.
Robin Williams would later say how grateful he was to have had the support of his wife and family to help him survive the pressures of celebrity and addiction and come through to the other side. With Williams' sobriety came a new direction and new heights in his career. But old temptations would come back to haunt him, this time in a very public way that could threaten his new success.
A trial would have exposed secrets about his sex life, his health, and his infidelities.
In 1983, after the birth of his son Zachary, 32-year-old Robin Williams was by all accounts a new man. After years of drug and alcohol abuse, he was completely clean and sober. And professionally, Robin Williams was on top of the world, finishing up a 4-season run on the hit TV series Mork and Mindy, performing stand-up comedy on stage and TV. He also began to use his star power to raise money for charity.
You're actually supposed to stall for time while people outside stealing shit out of your cars.
Over the years, he supported scores of charities, raising millions of dollars.
But it wasn't all comedy all the time. Williams, with his classical training, was also drawn to drama, and he wanted to be taken seriously as a dramatic film actor.
In 1982, he appeared in the movie The World According to Garp. 2 years after that, Moscow on the Hudson. Both were critically acclaimed, but they didn't do all that great at the box office.
His critical success may have been good, but his personal life was another story. In 1984, after 6 years of marriage, Williams was struggling to stay faithful.
Robin really tried to be a good husband and father, but he had some other vices that took him down some different roads, including an extramarital affair with Michelle Carter, who happened to be a waitress at the time.
The affair began in 1984 and lasted about 2 years. After it ended, Carter filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit.
Carter sued Williams and claimed that he didn't tell her that he was infected with herpes.
Carter was seeking $6 million in damages for negligence and infliction of mental suffering. Such a case was not without precedent.
There have been verdicts in the state of California for millions of dollars awarded to individuals who were lied to about their partner having herpes.
Robin Williams never admitted to having herpes and said that Carter couldn't prove her claim. Still, Williams' womanizing and the Michelle Carter lawsuit proved too much for Valerie. The erosion of trust was too great to overcome. In late 1986, she and Williams agreed to separate after 8 years together.
Williams and Velarde signed a private out-of-court separation agreement. This included shared custody of their son on a flexible basis.
For example, if Williams was on tour or shooting a movie, Zach would stay with his mom. But when Williams returned to San Francisco, he could see his son whenever he wanted.
In the midst of the lawsuit and the separation, Williams' professional life was also chaotic, and he was looking to hire a personal assistant. He didn't have to look far. A woman named Marcia Garces had been working as a nanny for Williams and his family for the past 2 years.
Marcia was looking to move on. She didn't want to be a nanny long term, but she did enjoy her relationship with Williams' son, Zach. So it seemed like a perfect solution for her to be Williams' personal assistant. She would have a new challenge and at the same time keep a close relationship with Zach.
Williams hired her to be his assistant, and almost immediately she became a stabilizing force in his life.
One of the first things that Marcia did was to urge Williams to go into therapy. What that did was help him understand what his limitations are and also have him go through his insecurities.
Williams was working on himself, and his career was on fire. And in 1987, Garces traveled with Williams to Thailand for his next film project, Good Morning Vietnam.
Her presence on the set was of tremendous value to Robin. She ran lines with him, did research with him, and also helped him develop the character.
Their efforts paid off. When Good Morning Vietnam was released in January 1988, it was both a critical and commercial success, bringing in more than $120 million at the box office and earning Williams a Golden Globe and his first Oscar nomination.
It was Williams' 10th film, and it came with an $800,000 salary. That would be $1.7 million today. Williams was a full-fledged movie star.
With a top-grossing film and 2 Golden Globes, Williams came under more media scrutiny than ever. The headlines exploded in late 1988 as Williams filed a countersuit in his continuing legal fight with his ex-mistress, Michelle Carter.
In his countersuit, Williams accused Michelle Carter of extortion, saying that she used duress, coercion, and fraud to try to coax money out of him.
The accusations turned nasty. Supposedly, Carter faked being pregnant and then demanded $20,000 from Williams to buy a car. In the litigation, Williams accused Carter of emotional distress, and the case went on for more than 4 years.
In the meantime, Williams made a splash on Broadway in Waiting for Godot with Steve Martin. At the time, he was also filming Dead Poets Society. But as he found more success in his career, his personal life was undergoing a transition. In early 1989, his divorce from Valerie Velarde was wrapping up.
Williams and Valerie had been separated for 2 years. Valerie had moved on to another relationship, and at this point in time, Williams' relationship with Marcia turned from professional to romantic.
In early 1989, Williams' divorce from Velarde was finalized after more than 10 years together. As part of their settlement, court records show that he paid her more than $500,000. On April 30th, 1989, just weeks after his divorce was finalized, Williams and Marcia Garces got married. Just as he had with his first wife, Williams did not have a prenuptial agreement with Garces.
They were expecting his second child at the time. Their daughter Zelda was born in 1989. That was also a year when Robin's career really took off.
Dead Poets Society opened to rave reviews, earning him another Oscar nomination. Williams and Garces began to emerge as a Hollywood power couple. Riding on the success of Dead Poets Society, Williams was churning out films in the early 90s, nabbing an Oscar nomination for his role in The Fisher King. He also got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
It's amazing. It's really nice to have something like this. It's kind of a Hollywood tradition to be walked all over next to Dinah and Roderick and all these people up and down here.
That same year, Williams and his wife welcomed a second baby, a boy named Cody.
As a film actor, he was at the top of his game. With Oscar nominations, now he could command a $1 million salary, and he did when he got the role for Hook in 1991.
But the next year, Williams' legal fight with ex-mistress Michelle Carter took center stage again. In August 1992, Williams tried and failed to have her lawsuit thrown out. The case was going to trial.
This case, with lurid details about marital infidelity and STDs, had the potential for destroying Williams' career.
Rather than taking the chance, on the eve of the trial, Williams decided to settle for a confidential amount.
The case was settled out of court. Whatever amount Williams paid, it must have been substantial. Williams faced a significant financial risk if he didn't settle.
With his reputation intact, Williams performed in the animated Disney film Aladdin, which opened in late 1992 to rave reviews and big box office numbers.
Al, if you want a winner, just be yourself. Thanks, Jeannie.
It was Disney's biggest animated feature to date, raking in $500 million worldwide. Much of the credit goes to Robin Williams.
His brilliant performance led the Golden Globes to create its first ever Special Achievement Award, presented to Williams in 1993.
Disney's Aladdin down here, a little tiny Golden Globe. That's the size of the one I get.
Aladdin was a passion project for Williams, who said he wanted to do it for his kids.
He agreed to work for the union rate of only $75,000.
But Williams had one big condition.
Williams was adamant. He did not want Disney using his name or any of his voices in any of the advertising or promotion for the film.
Offer void, we're prohibited by law.
During his career, Williams routinely turned down offers to endorse products, so he was absolutely infuriated when Disney used his Aladdin voice to sell Disney merchandise.
The experience had left a bad taste in his mouth. Williams didn't sue, but he felt betrayed. His beef with Disney went public, with Williams threatening never to work with the mouse again.
Disney apologized, and as part of the apology, they gave Williams a Picasso painting worth about $1 million. Eventually, Williams accepted their apology.
After the Aladdin dispute, Williams and his wife focused on a new project.
Their first film project together was from a script Marcia had found called Mrs. Doubtfire. She also went on to become one of the producers. Now for Robin, this also was one of his biggest hits, bringing in close to $120 million in the US.
Finding the voice was the hardest part, because initially I made her sound like Margaret Thatcher. That would probably scare the hell out of children. Go to bed, on, child, or I'm going to fire a cruise missile. Don't be afraid.
Williams picked up a Golden Globe for 1993's Mrs. Doubtfire, which also led him to command a whopping $15 million for his next role in 1995's Jumanji. But it was another passion project that became his biggest critical success, and a profitable one too.
Williams was looking for another serious role, so he took a chance on two young actors, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, who co-wrote the movie Good Will Hunting.
The movie was based on a one-act play written by Damon in college and honed by him and Affleck over several years. When he read the script, Williams had to be a part of the project.
As part of the deal, Williams waived his usual fee in exchange for a 15% profit participation.
If you ever disrespect my wife again, I will end you.
Good Will Hunting opened in 1997 to rave reviews. By the spring of 1998, it had earned almost $140 million.
With his profit participation, Williams' takeaway was around $20 million. His gamble definitely paid off.
It also paid off creatively in March 1998, when 46-year-old Williams won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor.
I mean, it's the Golden Dude. I didn't think I had a chance, but when they said it, it was truly shock. And it's a great honor.
Robin Williams' success didn't stop there. But in time, an old demon would rear its ugly head.
He ended up buying the bottle, drinking the whole thing.
It would cost Williams dearly, as health issues took a toll.
The signs may have been there, but no one was prepared for what happened.
In March 1998, after winning an Oscar for his role in Good Will Hunting, 46-year-old Robin Williams had earned respect and validation as a serious actor.
It's so nice to watch somebody else win. When they read the name and they go, and the winner for Best Actor is someone other than you. And you sit there and they keep the camera on you and you're supposed to go like, I'm so happy. Wouldn't it be nice? You could be really truthful and go, ah! Yeah!
He'd resolved an ongoing legal battle. His next several years were prolific, but were not without their legal woes. Attorneys and authors Danielle and Andy Mayoras walk us through these fortune fights and detail the effect they would have on his financial future.
And the judge said, all the money.
It was a really creative time for Williams. He was beginning to explore more serious roles.
Williams' performance in the hauntingly beautiful What Dreams May Come was singled out as heartbreakingly effective, paving the way for several more dramatic roles. In 2001, when Williams turned 50, he commanded a hefty $20 million for the film Bicentennial Man. It would be his biggest paycheck ever, but the movie, in which he plays a robot seeking to be human, did poorly at the box office, bringing in only $58 million.
The movie received mixed reviews, and several other films that Williams did after that did not perform well at the box office.
His star power and paychecks had started to shrink.
Then in 2004, he fell off the wagon after 20 years of sobriety.
It happened in the spring of 2004 while filming The Big White. Williams was on location far away in the isolated town of Skagway, Alaska.
He wound up going into a local store and he saw a bottle of Jack Daniels. He couldn't resist. He bought the bottle and wound up drinking the whole thing.
The drinking continued in 2005.
Around Thanksgiving, Robin Williams really struggled with relapse.
He kept drinking until 2006, when family members staged an intervention and urged rehab, which Williams underwent that summer.
I went to rehab in wine country just to keep my options open.
That fall, he received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Hollywood Film Festival and joked about being grateful.
A lifetime achievement, good. I'm still continent. I didn't have to put on the special pants. And it's nice to be here and among people that I admire, which is kind of cool.
Remarkably, Williams appeared in a total of 6 movies in 2006, including Night at the Museum, which came with a $5 million paycheck. He appeared in fine form in January 2007, joking with reporters at the People's Choice Awards. But behind closed doors, Williams' marriage was suffering.
After Williams relapsed, Marcia just felt like she couldn't trust him anymore. She felt that she could not depend on him.
At the end of 2007, he and Marcia Garces separated. The next year, she filed for divorce.
Given that this marriage lasted 19 years, a large payout for Garces was certain.
California is a community property state, so any assets acquired during marriage, including income and appreciation of assets, have to be divided on a 50-50 basis.
It appeared they did not have a prenup.
One would think that Williams would have insisted on a prenuptial agreement after going through his first divorce, but shockingly, it doesn't appear that they had one.
Garces reportedly got millions in the divorce.
They eventually settled the divorce. The settlement noted that Williams earned $650,000 per month. Garces wasn't doing too bad either. She earned over $383,000 monthly. When everything was finished, the divorce process took roughly 2 years.
Both divorces were expensive, reportedly costing Williams at least $30 million.
Divorce from the old Latin word divorcarum, meaning having your genitals torn out through your wallet.
While his second divorce was being finalized, he grew closer to a woman he met after his separation, Susan Schneider.
The story of how these two met was Robin was in the Apple store. Susan approached him and said, "Hey."
Schneider was an artist and designer, and the two hit it off immediately.
The two had a lot in common. They were both lifelong residents of Northern California. They had children from previous relationships, and they were both recovering alcoholics.
In 2009, she joined Williams when he was on the road for a new comedy tour, Weapons of Self-Destruction.
And you get out there for 90 minutes, and it's riveting.
But it's cheaper than therapy a lot of time.
Just a few weeks into the tour, while in Miami, Williams couldn't go on.
While backstage, Williams began hyperventilating and clutched his chest.
Williams had to cancel the show and was brought to a hospital where he learned that he would need open heart surgery to replace an aortic valve.
On March 13, 2009, Williams underwent heart surgery at the Cleveland Clinic in Ohio.
It was successful. He was able to go back and do his stand-up show, but he would not be able to do what he did before and had to slow down from the life he had before surgery.
He didn't have one film credit in 2010.
In 2010, his divorce from Marcia Garces was finalized, and the next year, he got back to work, but not on screen. In 2011, Williams returned to Broadway. With Schneider by his side, he starred in Bengal Tiger at the Baghdad Zoo. That October, the pair got married, honeymooning in Paris before returning to LA for the November opening of his new film, Happy Feet.
Happy? Are you right now?
I'm really happy. This is it.
Fully recovered from his heart surgery and leading a healthy, sober lifestyle, Williams talked about his happy home life.
My wife is amazing. I just look at her and all of a sudden, I'm happy. It's amazing.
Williams kept working in 2013 with ensemble roles in several hit films, and he returned to a TV series, the first since Mork and Mindy 3 decades earlier, this time appearing in The Crazy Ones on CBS.
Williams was paid $165,000 per episode. He said he liked the steady work, plus he told friends he needed the money.
Williams had continued making alimony payments to both ex-wives and had complained that both divorces cost at least $20 million.
Now, Williams was still a star, but he wasn't raking in the money that he used to. In fact, in 2013, he put his Napa Valley home up for sale.
At age 62, Williams was beginning to struggle with a variety of troubling ailments, including what appeared to be depression.
In Robin's case, all of a sudden, he can't do what he normally does.
The series The Crazy Ones was canceled in 2014, and after production wrapped in February, Williams' symptoms got worse.
His wife later stated that her husband believed he was losing his mind.
Then in May 2014 came devastating medical news. Robin Williams was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
He was not willing to divulge that information publicly.
The next several months were increasingly difficult. Williams' anxiety and depression got worse.
Depression can be a lethal disease. People don't realize that. Number one reason for suicide is what? Uncontrolled depression.
Sleepless nights and thrashing around in bed forced him and Schneider into separate bedrooms. On the night of August 10th, 2014, Williams was restless, going in and out of her bedroom several times before going to his bedroom at 10:30.
When Susan got up the next day, she noticed that Williams' bedroom door was closed, and she thought this was a good thing and that he was finally catching up on some much-needed sleep.
Schneider went out to run some errands, but at 11 a.m., an assistant saw Williams' door was still closed and was locked. She slipped a note under the door asking if he was okay, but there was no response.
At about 11:45 a.m., the assistant texted Susan and said she was going to go in the bedroom and wake Williams up.
The assistant used a paperclip to open the locked bedroom door.
Inside, she made a horrific discovery. Williams had hanged himself with the belt.
There was no note, and Schneider told police Williams had never talked of suicide. As the world reacted with shock and grief, an autopsy would reveal a misdiagnosis.
It turned out that Robin Williams did not have Parkinson's.
While a contentious court battle broke out over Williams' last wishes.
Court documents filed by the two sides outlined a bitter dispute over money and property.
I have a prepared statement. The male subject, who was pronounced deceased, has been identified as Robin McLaurin Williams.
In August 2014, the world was reeling from the sudden death of legendary comedian and actor Robin Williams, who was found dead in his California home at the age of 63.
Neighbors say they would often see Robin Williams riding his bicycle down the street. In fact, as recently as last week, they say he seemed happy.
Reaction came pouring in from friends, fellow comedians, actors. Everyone was paying tribute to Robin Williams. Makeshift shrines were put up around the country, and the internet was blowing up with reaction and grief.
One of the most widely circulated images was bittersweet. It simply read, "Genie, you're free." The tender salute to Williams, who played Aladdin's genie, was viewed an estimated 69 million times.
The police said that Williams died from suicide, but friends said he never would have knowingly subjected his family to that much pain. They wondered how much his medical condition could have played into it.
His family was devastated. His son Zach was 31, his daughter Zelda was 25, and his son Cody was 22. They were all stunned.
But an autopsy showed Williams did not suffer from Parkinson's disease as originally diagnosed.
It was discovered after the autopsy that he had suffered from Lewy body dementia.
Lewy body disease is a degenerative disease of the brain.
One thing was certain. Williams made sure to put his affairs in order years before by setting up a trust. He updated it regularly, the most recent time being in 2012 after he married Schneider.
He went to a lot of trouble going through that planning. What we know publicly is that there were at least 4 trusts that he had. He had the Home Sweet Home Trust that held his real estate. He created a children's trust to provide for his children during the course of his divorce with Marcia. He also created the Susan Trust pursuant to his prenuptial agreement in 2011. And he had the Robin Williams Trust, which he amended in 2012. Robin Williams was very clear-cut about what he wanted.
Williams' trust carefully described what he wanted to pass on to his 3 children.
Specifically, this trust said that his 3 children would receive his clothing, his jewelry, and any personal photos taken before his marriage to Susan, along with any of his memorabilia and awards. Susan would get to live in the Tiburon property for the rest of her life and have all of the expenses associated with it paid. In addition, Susan would get any of the personal effects in that property that weren't already designated for the children.
But just months after Williams' death, a court battle broke out when his widow, Schneider, filed a petition accusing his children of removing items from her home without permission.
Schneider alleged that the children acted fast on acquiring assets from the trust. She said that lawyers and the 3 children took everything from the home before it could be determined what would be left for her, including even her wedding gifts.
However harrowing Schneider made the situation seem, the trustees may have simply been taking an inventory of the items in the Tiburon home. That was part of their job. This certainly wouldn't be uncommon in a case like this.
The Williams children, who were very close-knit and who still considered Schneider as a newcomer to their family, fought back.
Williams' children responded to the court filing by claiming that they were heartbroken. They described Schneider's court petition as an attempt to challenge their father's wishes and believed that she had blatantly attempted to alter the trust provisions, which were already clear and unambiguous.
Surprisingly, Schneider included a brazen request that the court exclude all items in the Tiburon house from the list of property going to the children, even though the trust specifically instructed otherwise.
With Williams' $50 million estate at stake, some were concerned about Schneider's motive for the court filing.
But it's harsh to judge Schneider's decision to go to court purely from that view. This was obviously an emotional time for her. Her husband had just committed suicide after a difficult battle with a terrible disease.
In a legal statement, Susan referred to Robin's memorabilia from his Hollywood career as knickknacks. Now, his kids took offense to that, because to them, this was their dad's prized possessions and stuff that he really loved.
For some, including Williams' children, Schneider's legal actions confirmed suspicions that she was a gold digger. The children dug in their heels. The court fight dragged on for months.
The children were absolutely devastated.
Finally, after 8 months, a settlement was reached.
In spite of all the nastiness, they eventually reached a settlement agreement. And when they did, it was pretty simple. Susan would receive a bike, a watch, and all of their wedding gifts.
Schneider also received enough support to continue living comfortably in the Tiburon home for the rest of her life.
The Williams children received almost everything else they had asked for, including about 50 bikes, 85 watches, 1,000 different items from Robin Williams, including his Academy Award.
Financially, the children were well cared for. At the time of Williams' death, Forbes reported he had an estimated net worth of $100 million.
Williams' children were supposed to receive a 1/3 split of his remaining fortune according to the terms of his trust. Each child would receive 1/3 of their shares over time in installments at the ages of 21, 25, and 30. When you use a trust properly, it avoids things coming into the public eye and it keeps all your affairs private. Unfortunately, in this case, his wife Susan took that choice away from him.
Despite his wild and crazy performances on stage and in film, and his struggles with substance abuse, Robin Williams showed caution and care in his estate planning.
You really have to respect what Robin Williams did with his trust. Remember, when he created these documents, he was going through very difficult times dealing with depression, addiction, and other medical issues. Yet he still took the time to craft out a very specific and careful trust, appointing independent parties to try to make sure that his wishes could be followed.
Without carefully written provisions, the court battle could have lasted much longer.
No one can completely eliminate the chances of a court fight over a will or trust. He actually did a good job spelling out his wishes, so it's really not surprising that they're fighting over personal property. What is surprising is they're fighting over personal property in spite of the fact that Robin Williams carefully laid out his wishes.
A valuable lesson from a man who also left behind a wealth of entertainment to be treasured for generations to come.
You don't have to be a celebrity or even a multimillionaire to benefit from a trust. Everybody of all different ages and demographics, if they want to decrease family fighting, maintain their privacy, can benefit from a trust. We can all learn from Robin Williams.
When you're doing something you love, it's kind of easy because you work your ass off and go, it's worth it.
I'm done.
Over her decades-long career, Madonna has reinvented herself countless times. Material girl, sexual provocateur, mother, philanthropist, she's done it all and made millions along the way.
I'm constantly looking for new ideas to inform what I do.
She's inspired generations of pop stars, but her journey to the top has also been fraught with legal challenges, including a pair of high-profile marriages and divorces that cost the material girl millions.
Guy Ritchie walked away with more than $90 million in cash and property.
Along with high-profile divorces were controversial adoptions.
The legal challenges were significant, and it was a PR nightmare.
On Fortune Fights, husband and wife media experts and attorneys Danielle and Andy Mayoras explore the lives and legal battles of Hollywood's biggest stars. This episode looks at the evolution of Madonna from pop superstar to global humanitarian, and the legal struggles that threatened the fortune she earned and the life she built. Madonna's rise to superstardom was fueled by a legendary knack for reinvention. She has gone from singing and dancing and inspiring a generation of Madonna wannabes to having a brood of 6 children and creating a multi-million-dollar children's charity, while still performing all over the world. Media experts and attorneys Danielle and Andy Mayoras dive into the legal fortune fights the material girl has faced throughout her stratospherically successful career.
Before she was a single monikered Madonna, she was Madonna Louise Veronica Ciccone, born in 1958 in Bay City, Michigan, the eldest of 6 children.
After Madonna's mother died, her father remarried, and he and his wife Joan moved the family to Rochester Hills, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit. There they raised the family in a strict Catholic household.
Madonna took piano lessons before falling in love with dance. She took tap, jazz, and ballet classes, and she was so talented that she earned a scholarship to the University of Michigan to study dance.
Madonna stood out in Ann Arbor, but after 2 years of college, she decided to move to the big city. And in 1978, with $35 in her pocket, she headed to New York, hoping to make it as a professional dancer.
In New York City, Madonna had a hustle. She had to work odd jobs in order to pay her rent. So she took jobs waitressing, posing nude for art classes, and in addition to her rent, she also needed to make money to pay for dance classes with the legendary dancer Martha Graham. And her time in New York wasn't easy. While she was there, she was held at gunpoint once, and her apartment was broken into 3 times.
But she persevered and kept trying to make it in the city.
Madonna was performing as much as she could in New York City, both dancing and with some singing as well. When her vocals started to gather more attention than her dance moves, she really gave it a go and joined a couple of bands. Then she quit that and teamed up with her ex-boyfriend to write and record songs.
In 1982, the song Everybody made its way into the hands of DJ and producer Mark Kamens, who popped the cassette in one night at New York City hotspot Danceteria. He really liked it, and so he helped Madonna produce an improved version and then submitted it to Sire Records.
They liked it and signed her to the label the same year. And in 1983, 5 years after she'd moved to the city, her self-titled debut album came out.
Madonna's debut album was a huge success. It reached number 8 on the Billboard charts with 2 top 10 singles. It was a sign of great things to come for the pop star.
There were only 8 tracks on the record, but 5 became instant classics. Lucky Star, Borderline, Holiday, Burning Up, and Everybody.
When she first came out, it wasn't this quiet rise to fame or anything like that. Like, Madonna was almost immediately Madonna.
When it comes to celebrities who are known by one name, Madonna, Cher, Sting, there are certain advantages to it because everybody knows who you're talking about. She has such a force of personality that she's able to pull it off.
What do you hope will happen, not only in 1984, but for the rest of your professional life? What are your dreams? What's left?
To rule the world.
Madonna was ruling the world when her debut album sold 1 million copies by August 1984 and went platinum, bringing in $15 million for the pop star. A few months after that, her follow-up record was an even bigger success, earning her $31 million and spawning the hits Material Girl, Dress You Up, and the title track, Like a Virgin.
The album sold over 21 million copies around the world to earn its diamond certification.
The single Material Girl led to a new nickname for the ascending pop queen, and in 1985, to a relationship with hip young actor and Hollywood bad boy, Sean Penn.
Sean Penn visited the set of Madonna's music video Material Girl. By then, she was already a massive star.
Penn was a rising star, just a few years off his 1982 starring role as surfer stoner Jeff Spicoli in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He and Madonna hit it off.
Things heated up pretty quickly, but her career came first.
Between the massive sales of her record and a standout performance at the MTV Video Music Awards in the fall of 1984, Madonna was already a superstar.
Her performance of her title track, Like a Virgin, at the MTV Video Music Awards has gone down in history as one of the most popular and memorable performances of all time.
Whatever kind of sanctity pop music had, she was here to disrupt it, she was here to put her own fingerprint on it, she was here to take it and make it hers.
The US tour that followed her performance was a massive success, netting her $5 million. Everyone wanted to see Madonna in person.
Madonna's first tour, called the Virgin Tour, kicked off in April of 1985, and America ate it up. The tour made more than $5 million in about 2 months, which would be about $12 million today. Not bad for a girl from the Detroit suburbs.
Not only was her tour a great success, but her relationship with Penn was going to the next level.
Things moved fast for Penn and Madonna, and by mid-August, wedding bells were ringing.
Just 6 months after meeting, Sean and Madonna got married on August 16, 1985. It was Madonna's 27th birthday and the day before Sean's 25th birthday.
With Andy Warhol, Carol Kane, and Christopher Walken in attendance, they tied the knot at a $6.5 million clifftop mansion in Malibu in front of 200 guests. There were also some uninvited guests, and Sean Penn left a message in the sand for them.
There were 6 helicopters hovering overhead, disrupting the ceremony with all their noise, and written in the sand was, "F*** off."
Hardly the romantic start to their marriage they may have hoped for.
During the first year of their marriage, Madonna and Sean appeared blissfully in love. Her career was skyrocketing. She had earned over $50 million for her first 2 albums, and Penn was working hard in movies.
In 1985, Madonna found critical success in her film role in Desperately Seeking Susan.
In 1986, Madonna earned more success and $32 million more with the release of her 3rd album, True Blue, which included the hit Papa Don't Preach. In the liner notes, Madonna called her husband the coolest guy in the universe. They were so in love, they decided to work together.
In 1986, Madonna and Sean starred in the movie Shanghai Surprise. The real surprise about this movie was how horrible it was. One critic even called it flop suey.
After the flop, the wedding bliss began to evaporate.
Not all is well in their marriage. It's actually quite tumultuous, and perhaps even more tumultuous than anyone cared to admit.
Penn had several documented instances of outbursts against paparazzi, film extras, and one of Madonna's friends.
Penn was put on probation for his alleged attack of songwriter David Walensky after he embraced Madonna at a nightclub. Penn then violated his probation twice. First, when he attacked a film extra for snapping photos of him, and second, when he was charged with reckless driving. These violations landed him in jail for 33 days. There were even rumors of abusive incidents in their marriage, with Madonna the victim of his vicious temper.
Madonna has since denounced any claims of abuse during the relationship, stating that while their relationship was volatile, it never became physical.
Still, it wasn't long before Penn's volatility became too much for Madonna.
In December of 1987, just 27 months after being married, Madonna filed for divorce. But just a few weeks later after filing, she withdrew her petition.
It's not unusual to see people file, dismiss, and then refile divorce proceedings.
People change their mind, relationships change, so it's not that this was totally out of the ordinary. On the other hand, it is a pretty significant legal move to file for divorce. Sometimes when people file for divorce, they do it as a strategic move, just hoping that their spouse is going to change their behavior.
Throughout 1988, the turmoil in the marriage continued, so much so that tabloids labeled Madonna and Sean the Poison Pens. It all came to a head in December 1988 at the couple's Malibu estate.
According to reports, a drunken Sean Penn allegedly roughed up Madonna and terrorized her for hours. Police were called to the house, and later Madonna filed a domestic assault claim.
But Madonna withdrew the claim just days later. Instead, she filed for divorce, and this time it would stick.
She had been touring and earning millions, and by then, even though Penn had a series of hit movies, he was more famous for his outbursts than for his movie career.
In January of 1989, Madonna cited irreconcilable differences as the reason for the split. At 30, she was worth some $100 million, a portion of which Penn could have claimed for himself. Thankfully, she had taken steps to protect her assets.
Madonna reportedly earned $30 million a year during their marriage, and while Penn earned a respectable $5 million, there did not end up being a big fight because the prenup specified that they each got out of the marriage what they brought into it and what they earned.
The relationship that started with a roar ended with a whimper, and Madonna was ready to put it all behind her. And she did that with a bang, releasing the mega hit Like a Prayer just 2 months after filing for divorce. The single debuted at #1 and inspired a 1-year advertising contract with Pepsi. When the music video was released, it was a major reinvention for the Material Girl. But the video's religious imagery, including burning crosses and stigmata, sparked intense controversy.
Everything gets flipped on its head because the imagery that she's portraying in this video is pretty harsh. It's kind of, it's provocative to say the least.
The video was censored by the Vatican and led to the cancellation of her lucrative Pepsi contract. But this was typical Madonna. Madonna wasn't scared of controversy or ruffling feathers, and she certainly knew that this was going to happen with the video.
The international controversy didn't slow her down and may have even boosted Madonna's profile. In 1990, a year after Like a Prayer, she starred alongside Al Pacino and then boyfriend Warren Beatty in the hit film Dick Tracy. She also released another monster hit song, Vogue.
When Vogue dropped, she was at the top of her career and reinventing herself again with a streamlined new look and edgy new dance style from the New York City underground dance scene.
Madonna the provocateur charged into the 1990s with Warren Beatty on her arm and her career at a peak.
Her Blonde Ambition tour took the concert to an entirely new level. With its combination of sexuality and spectacle, the tour grossed over $60 million.
In 1990, Forbes declared Madonna the top-earning female entertainer of the year, noting that since 1986, she'd earned at least $125 million. 2 years later, at just 33 years old, she took her first step to becoming a multimedia mogul, signing a massive $60 million deal with Time Warner and forming her own company, which she called Maverick.
Madonna said the deal would give her more creative control over her albums, films, and books. The fact is, she was Madonna, she was a big hit, and she could dictate terms to Time Warner to come out ahead.
Madonna's first projects out of the gate under the Maverick label were the sexually explicit coffee table book Sex and the album Erotica. Both were critically panned, but Madonna fans loved it.
Erotica racked up $6 million in sales, and this limited edition book with only 1.5 million copies in print sold out within days, and to date, it's still one of the most in-demand, out-of-date publications of all time.
In 1993, Madonna was able to take a bow as one of the richest women in showbiz, with a personal fortune estimated at $100 million.
Madonna was able to put this wealth to good use. She bought 6 adjoining apartments in Manhattan and combined them into one, and bought 2 different $5 million mansions, one in Miami and one in the Hollywood Hills.
Collecting and selling property became a bit of a pastime for Madonna, and after she purchased the property, she would often hire her brother Christopher to decorate the home.
Madonna enjoyed more wealth and success than most people could ever dream of. She was able to live wherever she wanted, surrounded by her beautiful art collection, which was eventually valued at more than $100 million, and included works by Frida Kahlo and Man Ray.
But Madonna wanted more than financial success. and a chance meeting would lead to Madonna's biggest reinvention yet.
There was no woman on the planet with more fame and money than Madonna, yet she still wanted to find love.
But the love Madonna wanted to give would be overshadowed by a box office bomb and an international uproar over an adoption.
Even those that supported her hardcore fans, were incredulous. They saw it as a publicity stunt.
It was a complete and utter PR disaster.
By the late 1990s, Madonna was the undisputed queen of pop, the doyenne of reinvention. She had blossomed from straight-A student in a strict household, to dancer, to starving artist, to pop superstar. She kept pushing the boundaries of pop, with catchy anthems, titillating videos and books, and groundbreaking concerts. In the process, earning hundreds of millions of dollars. But trouble was brewing that would threaten the star's fortune. Attorneys Danielle and Andy Mayoras unraveled the legal knot she found herself tangled in.
Madonna was a huge global pop star, an icon. She was the queen of reinvention. And time again, she would captivate the world with her talent and her style. Hit after hit with millions of fans all over the world, Madonna was an unstoppable force.
In 1995, Madonna, who was 37 at the time, went for a jog in Central Park and ended up meeting Cuban fitness trainer Carlos Leon. He then became her personal fitness trainer and shortly thereafter, her boyfriend.
When Madonna wants something, she goes after it, and Carlos Leon was no different.
While she pursued Leon, she was also pursuing the role of Evita, which she would eventually land.
Being Madonna's boyfriend couldn't have been easy. There was no woman on the planet with more fame and money than Madonna, yet she still wanted to find love.
After a year together in the spring of 1996, while filming the movie Evita, Madonna learned she was pregnant. She had dreamed of being a mother and was overjoyed. That fall, they welcomed a daughter, Lourdes, affectionately called Lola.
Once she'd had the baby, her relationship with Leon wasn't long for this world.
Evita was a huge success, earning Madonna a Golden Globe. But soon after, her relationship with Carlos Leon fell apart. They split when Lourdes was only 7 months old after 2 years of being together.
Because they weren't married, Madonna wasn't legally obligated to pay him anything. But reportedly, there was a financial settlement made, and the two walked away on good terms and continued to parent their daughter together.
After the birth of her daughter Lourdes, Madonna sought spiritual enlightenment through the Jewish mystical practice of Kabbalah and Ashtanga Yoga. This newfound spirituality was reflected in her 7th studio album, Ray of Light, released in 1998. It earned rave reviews and brought in $22 million.
Critics described Ray of Light as groundbreaking in the way it combined underground and mainstream dance music. It won Madonna her first Grammy for an album and 5 more MTV Video Music Awards to add to her collection.
At the VMAs, Madonna's newfound spirituality was on full display.
I'm constantly looking for new sort of cultures and ideas to inform what I do.
Madonna said she was no longer interested in being the provocateur.
I'm more interested in inspiring people than shocking people.
In 1998, while riding high off the success of Ray of Light, and 2 years after breaking up with Leon, Madonna was invited to a party hosted by Sting and his wife, Trudy Styler.
While at the party, Madonna met Guy Ritchie, an up-and-coming British film director.
10 years younger than Madonna, Guy Ritchie was affable, but also had an edgy side. Madonna was instantly smitten, and the two began dating.
So they get together, and kind of like all of her relationships, things start off incredibly gloriously. They are madly in love with each other.
After dating less than a year, Madonna became pregnant. And on August 11, 2000, just days shy of her 42nd birthday, she gave birth to a baby boy, Rocco.
4 months later, baby Rocco was baptized at a cathedral in Scotland. Media from around the world attended the baptism, as well as Madonna and Guy's lavish wedding the very next day.
Their ceremony and reception cost £1.5 million and took place at Skibo Castle in England.
Just like her first wedding to Sean Penn in 1985, Madonna's second wedding was a star-studded event. But unlike her first marriage, Madonna did not sign a prenup with Guy Ritchie.
It's unbelievable that the 42-year-old multimillionaire and icon did not have a prenuptial agreement. Ritchie was 10 years younger, had significantly less assets, and even less income potential than her.
Madonna had already brought in hundreds of millions of dollars for her albums and tours, while Ritchie's directing career was just beginning.
It is beyond belief that Madonna would get married again without getting a prenuptial agreement, considering how much fame and wealth she had amassed at that point in her career, especially considering she was marrying somebody who did not have her level of assets or anywhere close, and the prenuptial agreement she had with Sean Penn had worked out so well in her favor.
The Ritchie family settled into the English countryside at Ashcombe House, located on a 1,200-acre estate, reportedly purchased for £9 million. Madonna embraced all things British and life with Guy in the countryside, while Guy joined Madonna in her study of Kabbalah. They also teamed up professionally and made a film together, the 2002 romantic comedy Swept Away, which he directed.
Just like Shanghai Surprise with her ex, Sean Penn, Swept Away was a complete disaster. The film was a flop, both critically and commercially. And later, Guy Ritchie described the whole experience as painful.
Swept Away's disaster was followed with more pressure the next year, when Madonna embarked on a world tour, which set yet another record for the pop icon.
In 2004, Madonna's Reinvention Tour in support of her American Life album became the top-grossing tour that year for a solo artist, raking in $125 million. Madonna would hold on to that title for the next 12 years, only being briefly unseated by Bruce Springsteen.
In 2005, Madonna took a break to spend time with Guy and her family, but things took a turn when she took a tumble.
It was Madonna's 47th birthday, and her family was celebrating at their 1,200-acre estate in England. She was with her husband, Guy Ritchie, and her 2 children, Lourdes and Rocco.
Madonna was thrown from her horse and ended up with severe injuries.
I broke my collarbone. I broke my scapula in 2 places. I broke 4 ribs, and I broke my left knuckle.
It was during the recovery from her riding accident that Madonna found another way to reinvent herself.
Madonna used this time to research international issues, which set the stage for her to become the global activist she is today.
The idea of responsibility, of being responsible for your actions and your words, and being responsible for the rest of humanity is a big part of what I think is important right now.
Madonna researched the southern African country of Malawi. Decimated by the AIDS epidemic, there were more than 1 million orphans in the country.
In 2006, Madonna visited Malawi, and she was extremely moved by what she saw. Orphan children, extreme poverty, mothers dying of AIDS, and little or no health care at all. Madonna really wanted to help out with the orphans.
Madonna founded the charity Raising Malawi and pledged to raise millions of dollars to provide health care, education, and community support. She also started working on a documentary about the plight of Malawi's orphans.
It was during the research phase of this project that Madonna came across pictures of a baby, David Banda. She said she was immediately drawn to the child.
In October 2006, Madonna returned to Malawi, this time with Guy Ritchie. They visited orphanages, including the one where 13-month-old David Banda had been living since he was 2 weeks old, after his mother died following childbirth.
His father couldn't care for him, so he placed him in an orphanage. And this was a very common practice in Malawi. When parents couldn't take care of their children, they would put them in an orphanage and then take them back when they could care for them, if ever.
In just a matter of days, Madonna had secured formal consent from Banda's father and an interim order from the High Court, which allowed the Ritchies to take the baby home.
International adoptions are usually much more complicated, drawn out, and expensive. Also, many of the rules regarding adoption can be unclear and vary depending on the country where the child is located.
But the rules seem to bend for the international superstar and her husband.
In Malawi, the law says there's an 18-month residency rule for foreign nationals to adopt. This is to prevent child trafficking, but in Madonna's case, the court waived that waiting period.
By waiving the residency rule, they gave Madonna interim custody for 18 months until welfare officials could make a recommendation, and a final determination was issued on the adoption.
While Madonna worked out the legalities, word quickly got out about her adoption plans, and the press had a field day.
International children's groups were outraged. They were furious that Madonna had bypassed the residency rules and gotten interim adoption.
Nevertheless, on October 13, 2006, 9 days after arriving in Malawi, Madonna and her husband prepared to fly baby David to his new home in London. But there was one thing Madonna forgot. By the early 2000s, Madonna was worth more than $300 million and had an impressive collection of assets, including a large Manhattan apartment and multi-million-dollar mansions. Assets that would be fought over in the legal battles to come. In 2006, after 6 years of marriage, Madonna and Guy Ritchie were looking to add to their family by adopting baby David Banda in Malawi And after an already drawn-out legal battle, Madonna was just about to cross the finish line.
As Madonna attempted to leave Malawi in her private jet with David, she was refused permission to take off. She had made a crucial mistake and failed to apply for a passport for the child.
Baby David was issued a passport a few days later, on October 16, 2006, and was flown to his new home in London. But the media backlash was fierce, with Madonna being accused of using her celebrity and charity work to fast-track the adoption.
Madonna has always been keenly aware of her image and of the public relations value of her name and her brand.
Local children's rights groups challenging the adoption said the Malawian court had based their decision on Madonna's wealth. Madonna addressed the criticism head-on. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey, Madonna strongly denied anything improper, saying, "It doesn't matter who you are or how much money you have. Nothing goes fast in Africa."
Nothing may go fast in Africa, but Madonna's fame and influence sure seem to push things along.
Whatever Madonna did to get David Banda home worked, and her contributions to Malawi's orphans may have greased the wheels. With David Banda in his new home in England, Madonna and Guy got back to business. Guy developed new film projects, and Madonna expanded her media empire by striking another massive deal.
Madonna dumped her longtime affiliation with Time Warner and signed a 10-year contract with Live Nation for $120 million, lining her pockets with millions of dollars more.
In making the deal, Madonna was once again a trailblazer.
The deal was unprecedented. It gave Madonna both cash and stock, and in exchange, Live Nation got the right to distribute 3 albums, promote concert tours, and sell merchandise.
I mean, when we talk about wealth, it's hard to even quantify the wealth and power that Madonna wields on this planet. It's pretty impressive.
That same year, Madonna also got heavily involved in her charity work, performing as one of the headline acts in Al Gore's Live Earth concert, while also working to release the documentary she'd been making with her charity, Raising Malawi.
Madonna released the documentary she'd been working on the year before about the orphans of Malawi. I Am Because We Are was released at the Cannes Film Festival to rave reviews.
The Richies also expanded their property holdings, with the purchase of a 10-bedroom townhouse in one of London's poshest neighborhoods in 2007 and a pub called the Punch Bowl in 2008.
Madonna and Richie shared a multi-million-dollar portfolio that included 8 different properties featuring their country estate Ashcombe House.
In 2008, Madonna turned 50 years old, and after 26 years in the business, was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. At the ceremony, Justin Timberlake presented the award. There was also good news from Malawi about the Richies' adopted child, David Banda.
A court formally confirmed the adoption in May of 2008. It had been roughly 2 years since Madonna took David home with her.
But the veneer of happiness couldn't disguise the cracks that were forming, and it was only a matter of time before issues in their marriage could not be ignored.
It's not too long before we know that all is not well in a marriage with Madonna again.
After 7.5 years, Madonna and Richie were living separate lives, and there were rumors of infidelity.
Madonna's megastar lifestyle and charity work took a toll.
According to friends of Richie's, Madonna created a lot of stress with their marriage with her lifestyle that was centered around her rigorous diet, religion, and an infatuation with yoga.
There are times when you're dealing with someone of such power and stature that Madonna has had in her career that you find yourself in their orbit and there's nothing you can do.
Then came reports of Madonna allegedly cheating on Guy.
In July, rumors were flying that Madonna was having an affair with New York Yankees star Alex Rodriguez. She denied it, and both she and Guy said their marriage was just fine.
Madonna and Guy put on a united front in September 2008, appearing together on the red carpet at the premiere of Richie's new film, Rock and Rolla. But then, just a month later, came word that after 8 years of marriage, Madonna and Guy were divorcing.
Ultimately, Richie filed for divorce. It was believed that the divorce centered around the grueling process of the adoption and the busy nature of their careers.
They didn't have a prenup, so without question, any divorce proceeding between Madonna and Richie was going to be expensive.
Some of the allegations about the reasons for the divorce got nasty.
British tabloids reported that Madonna's half-day workouts left her too tired for sex, resulting in an 18-month dry spell. Tabloids also reported that Richie told her that she looked like a granny.
Madonna would later say her freedom played into the divorce.
Madonna later stated that there were times she felt incarcerated being with Richie, saying that she didn't feel like she could truly be herself.
Madonna would get her freedom, but at what cost?
She's making his millions look like pennies. I mean, she's amassed hundreds of millions of dollars at this point.
By 2008, Madonna and Richie were said to be worth $521 million. Certainly most of that wealth was brought into the marriage by Madonna.
And without a prenup, Guy could be awarded some of her millions.
For Madonna, it may have been better to throw some money at Richie instead of having protracted settlement negotiations. I mean, after all, she had the money.
Madonna was about to face one of the most expensive divorce settlements in history.
Generally, the lower earning spouse is treated more favorably in the UK than in most US states. And Richie really scored a nice payday here.
In 2008, Madonna, a global pop icon, was worth more than $400 million. But an impending divorce from Guy Ritchie, whom she had married without a prenuptial agreement, threatened a fortune fight that could put the star at risk of losing her millions. Legal experts Andy and Danielle Mayoras have the details of how it all went down.
It is dependent on how much income was earned during the years of their marriage. Without a prenup, any earnings that came into the marriage during that time period would be taken into account in the division of their assets.
From their wedding in December of 2000, the marriage lasted about 8 years. During that time period, Madonna went on 2 different world tours, released 3 albums, and Richie made 4 movies. Of course, any other deals that either of them made during that marriage would be factored into their assets.
Madonna's team initially came in with a relatively low-ball offer of $15 million, plus the country estate worth about $12 million.
But Richie, who was already worth $45 million on his own, wanted more.
For Madonna, it may have been better to throw some money at Richie instead of having protracted settlement negotiations. I mean, after all, she had the money.
They were able to come to an agreement in just a couple of months, and their split ended up being one of the most expensive celebrity divorces in memory.
Richie would end up receiving 50 to 60 million pounds, which is roughly $92 million.
The $92 million included Ashcombe House, a $7 million townhouse in London, and the couple's pub, the Punch Bowl. Richie really scored a nice payday here.
It's important to note that while Richie received just over $90 million from Madonna, she was making more than enough to recoup that loss shortly after her divorce.
But there was still the matter of custody to hammer out.
Well, you've got your children for the adventure.
Yes.
Madonna already had full custody of her daughter Lourdes because she was from her prior relationship, but Madonna wanted to move back to New York. There was one problem though. They still had to sort out custody of the couple's 2 sons, 8-year-old Rocco and 3-year-old David.
The couple settled on a compromise for their 2 sons, Rocco and David, which meant that the children would have to travel between London and New York.
Following her divorce, Madonna turned her focus to another adoption. A second child in Malawi had caught her attention soon after she met little David, a girl named Mercy James. But just like with her first adoption, Madonna would wade into a legal quagmire.
In 2009, Madonna wanted to adopt Mercy, but the baby's relatives wouldn't consent. The adoption of David had already been a difficult ordeal, and the process for this adoption was worse.
Madonna's dream of adopting a sibling for David Banda would hit another major roadblock when her recent divorce came back to haunt her.
The divorce, while devastating in its own right, also created an issue for Madonna's adoption.
And Malawi, which is a very religious country, the laws and rules of Christianity seamlessly work into every decision politically that's made in that country, including the adoption process.
The judge deemed Madonna to be an unfit parent because she was considered to be an unmarried woman and said that the girl was better off in an orphanage.
Madonna said she firmly believed that she could give Mercy, who she met in 2006, the kind of love and care that she just wouldn't be able to get in an orphanage.
There was also the 18-month residency rule for foreigners.
The 18-month residency rule in Malawi requires someone to live there for 18 months before they adopt a child, and this is specifically put in place to avoid child trafficking.
The court had waived that requirement when she adopted her son David, but a lower court was insisting on it this time around. Relatives of Mercy James had already refused to grant consent, and some child welfare organizations claimed Madonna was throwing around her wealth to get what she wanted. Madonna spent a lot of time in the country, and in the 3 years since founding Raising Malawi, Madonna and her charity raised millions of dollars to fund orphanages and provide mosquito nets, food, medical care, and education to impoverished children in the country. Opponents felt this was influencing the Malawian government's willingness to bend the rules.
But that didn't work in the court in Malawi. It rejected Madonna's petition to adopt the 4-year-old Mercy James. The judge expressed concern about the little girl being taken away from her home country and culture, and felt that she was getting good care and a good education at the orphanage.
The concerns about removing Mercy from her country and culture didn't stop Madonna.
Madonna would not take no for an answer. She hired a team of lawyers and took the case to the Supreme Court. Now, this would be very expensive for most people to do, but this was Madonna we're talking about.
While the High Court of Malawi considered Madonna's appeal, controversy exploded. Welfare groups sharply criticized the high-profile star's lifestyle.
One of the Malawian welfare agencies said that they couldn't condone the whisking off of a child into the fairy tale Hollywood lifestyle.
Nevertheless, on June 12, 2009, after months of legal wrangling, Madonna got the news she was hoping to hear. Malawi's highest court overturned the lower court ruling and approved the adoption.
Mercy's grandmother had initially opposed the adoption, but after talking to other family members, she eventually agreed.
It's interesting to note that the High Court ruling took into consideration Madonna's long-term charity work. The justices noted that this showed a real commitment to helping disadvantaged children.
In waiving the residency requirement, the court said times have changed, and in this global world, a person can live in more than one place. Madonna had demonstrated that although her residence was elsewhere, through her charity work, she would continue spending time in Malawi, which satisfied the court.
The court ruled that Mercy could either stay in the orphanage and not have the love of family, or be adopted by Madonna where she would be assured of love. They specifically said, quote, "Every child has the right to love."
After the Malawi controversy died down, Madonna's focus was on her expanded family and getting back on tour. In 2009, her Sticky and Sweet tour in support of the album Hard Candy grossed more than $400 million. And her MDNA tour in 2012 made over $300 million. The Rebel Heart tour in 2015 was also a smash success.
In this millennium, Madonna tours have grossed over $1.2 billion, and the Rebel Heart tour was the one that helped her achieve that.
But Madonna's Rebel Heart tour caused headlines for other reasons, when her teenage son Rocco rebelled.
Fed up with the lifestyle that the tour brought, Rocco decided to leave on his own accord and head to London.
It opened an old rift with Madonna's ex, and turned ugly when she publicly called him out.
She said that she was looking for a husband and not a like the one she had previously married.
By 2015, Madonna had been through her share of legal battles and lost millions in the fight. Legal analysts Andy and Danielle Mayoras walk us through the star's highs and lows. A definite high came in 2016, when after more than 30 years in the music business, the 58-year-old pop queen reached yet another stunning milestone. Forbes magazine released its first ever list of the wealthiest female musicians, and Madonna topped the list with an estimated net worth of $560 million.
Madonna has always been a savvy businesswoman, and through the years, she's invested in various ventures. She has real estate holdings, fine art collections, and she even has a share in the streaming service Tidal. She hasn't forgotten to be generous. She's shared her millions of dollars with over 30 charities through the years.
Single-handedly, Madonna is the biggest female pop star that pop music has ever seen. I mean, she's ubiquitous around the world. She is Madonna.
Madonna attributed a big part of her success to her ability to control her own image and to work hard to stay on top. She's even referred to herself as a control freak.
Being a control freak might work when you're a pop star, but as a mom, that doesn't always fly. Madonna was on tour when a very public fight erupted with her ex, Guy Ritchie, over the custody of their 15-year-old son, Rocco. When she hit the road in 2015, Madonna took her kids along, including Rocco, but the grind of being on the road got old, and Rocco rebelled.
In December of 2015, a now 16-year-old Rocco was spending time with Madonna because of the split custody arrangement. Rocco was with his mother as she performed on the European leg of her Rebel Hearts tour. Fed up with the lifestyle that the tour brought, Rocco decided to leave on his own accord and head to London. He proceeded to spend Christmas with Ritchie and his new wife, Jackie.
The tabloids reported on shouting matches between Madonna and her son over her strict rules.
While it probably sounds like a lot of glamour and fun for most people, imagine it from Rocco's perspective. He's grown up around this world, and he probably longed for the lifestyle of being able to live under one roof, go to school, hang out with his friends, and do teenager things. He wasn't allowed to do that, constantly going on tour with his mom.
The battle heated up. Although it was agreed that Rocco could stay with his dad through the holidays, he refused to go back to his mom's tour when it was over, saying he wanted to live with his dad permanently. Madonna took the matter to court.
Madonna appeared in a New York court hearing demanding that Rocco be returned to her under the terms of their custody arrangement.
Guy Ritchie also went to court in London.
When ex-spouses are living in different countries, it can become very complicated as to which court has jurisdiction.
In this case, the judge ruled that Madonna and Richie should settle their custody dispute in New York, where the petition was filed. But the judge also said that Rocco could continue to live with his dad in England until that point in time.
Madonna was infuriated, reportedly telling friends she thought Guy was brainwashing Rocco against her. She publicly lashed out at Guy.
Madonna was performing in Nashville and called out Richie during the performance.
In describing her ex, Madonna used the C word.
She said that she was looking for a husband and not an expletive like the one that she had previously married.
I think it was a moment of indiscretion. I think if she had to do it over again, she probably would use a different term.
In March 2016, as the dispute dragged on, a judge dressed down both Madonna and Guy for not putting their son's interests first.
The judge said that they should have been worrying more about Rocco and not their own selfish agendas.
But that summer, Rocco turned 16 and everything changed.
The court ruled that because Rocco was 16 years old, he was free to choose where he wanted to stay.
It's not surprising that the judge would ask and defer to Rocco's opinion. Once a child is 16 years old, they're really not a child anymore.
It's really common for teenagers to be given input into which parent they live with, especially when they're over the age of 14.
Rocco decided to live with his dad, Guy Ritchie.
The woman who was so used to getting everything her way had the tides of battle turn against her when it came to Ritchie. He won the big divorce settlement and custody over their biological son. This had to be a huge blow to Madonna's ego.
It might have been a blow, but she rebounded, and in 2017, Madonna was back in Malawi for her charity work.
Madonna returned to Malawi once again to adopt 2 more girls, 4 years old, Stella and Esther.
Madonna once again came under fire for pursuing a high-profile adoption, but she persisted, and a month later the Malawi court gave its approval for the adoption.
Madonna confirmed the adoptions on Instagram, saying she was overjoyed the twins were now part of their family. It was a family affair in July 2017, when Madonna and her 4 adopted Malawian children were back in Africa.
They were there for the opening of the Mercy James Institute for Pediatric Surgery and Intensive Care, named after Madonna's adopted daughter, Mercy.
The hospital was built as part of Madonna's Raising Malawi initiative to help Malawi's children.
We are here to raise Malawi.
The state-of-the-art hospital, the only one of its kind in Malawi, was designed to be a training center for pediatric surgeons and to increase the availability of surgeries for children. More than a decade had passed since Madonna's first trip to Malawi, and it had been 8 years since Mercy's adoption.
It was met with such cynicism, when in fact Madonna is devoted to the children that she's adopted.
In 2018, the year Madonna turned 60, the Queen of Pop showed no signs of letting up. She reigned supreme at the Met Gala and went back to Malawi for the 1-year anniversary of the Mercy James Institute, this time with all 6 of her kids, including 21-year-old Lourdes and 17-year-old Rocco.
All the while, Madonna's wealth kept expanding. In 2018, Forbes estimated her net worth to be $590 million, and it named her to the list of America's most successful self-made women.
Madonna has always had this inner strength and belief in herself. It's enabled her to reinvent herself, it's enabled her to avoid the critics, and it's kept her fan base solid through decades.
That fortitude has enabled Madonna to weather tough legal battles and come out on top time and time again, legally, professionally, and by all accounts, personally. Even though she lost millions of dollars in her legal battles, her dedication, talent, and business savvy helped her rebound time and time again, leading her to a fortune of more than $500 million.
After all of her success and challenges, Madonna has said one of the most controversial things she's done is just to stick around and survive. She says you have to believe in yourself, and she's proven that every day.
Madonna really has been the queen of reinvention. I don't think that there's ever been anyone like Madonna in the past, and I don't think that we're gonna see anyone truly like Madonna, such a groundbreaker in the future. She truly is one of a kind.